Sup, everybody? This is Carrick with ACG, and I'm here with Johnny for the best gaming podcast, number 574. It's always weird to say.
Welcome back.
Hundreds. 500.
Yeah, it's an insane number. How
is,
many
man.
hours do you think we've spent doing podcasts?
Well, and if you don't include Discord and you just include us, randomly talking prior to the podcast, and then the ones we missed out on, because there was easily 50 or 60 that had issues while streaming. We're probably jinxing ourselves. We're probably gonna have an issue streaming right now, but like the number of stuff that we've had that's occurred,
yeah,
probably
some crazy number.
It takes me about 4 hours for the whole thing with you, and then close it and start rendering stuff, then 2 or 3 hours prior, and then 2 or 3 hours extra at the end for Twitter and all that. But so I would say our average for talking is 3 hours minimum. That's probably our average. And I would say our
down.
Yeah. I mean, and you and I raise the average a lot. We raise the average a lot. Like if we get in here talking, I'll look down and be like, that one day you and I were in here and I was like, yeah, man, it's like 1 hour, 45 minutes. We're good to go in my brain. And then you said something like, I got to go or whatever. And I looked down, it was 3 hours and 50 minutes. And I was like, what the time warp?
It's crazy sometimes, man. Yeah.
What's up, Knuckle? $5 super chat. 3 words: tactical octopus action. Yeah. We're going to talk about the indie games and the major games that were shown at the State of Play. It was
actually a good show. State of Play, not often a big one.
Like I don't know if I would say it's hard, man, because like I want to say it was good, but I'm not a nostalgic person, so a lot of what they show hit nothing. Like I was like, okay, I don't care. This is like a remaster or remake.
Metal Gear, slightly higher res. Like,
dude, slightly is the proper term. That was like ancient
ever
day one
so
GPT. That was what was it? DLSS before it was DLSS. By cubic sharpening. However, because people always get mad. They're like, oh my God, you're a hater. It's like, dude, you're literally talking to the one person who's absolutely not a hater. But I also, because I don't have a ton of nostalgia, like if it was Sega announcing some of these, I'd be like, cool, but I don't see the game yet. And a lot were CGI lead up, Kina.
Yeah.
Listen, might have been my game of the show. John Wick, Kina might have been my game of the show. Like just because I did like Kina.
We saw more of that.
We saw more of it, yeah. And we'll talk about all of them in depth a little bit more. I think I have some footage that we can show for most of them. But yeah, it was. I've seen people say it was the best State of Show ever, and in the history of ever. That was the first. We got a lot of the reactors who were like, okay, there has never been a better State of Play, and Sony needs to stop doing them because we have achieved peak. And I looked at those and I was like, fuck that. We're like, dude, talk about a low expectation. But then there are people who are like, they showed nothing. I'm like, John Wick alone, we've had John Wick games, and and John Wick was all CGI till the last 6 seconds, which sort of sucked because we didn't even know if it was going to be 2D. We were all in the chat going, oh my God, please don't.
It's another tile-based.
Don't be Castlevania or something, We were sitting there going like, oh my God, because they showed him fighting and it was all looked really good. They had got his fight style down, especially Keanu likes to turn sideways. I know that sounds weird, but you notice it, especially if you fought or you watch movies, whatever. And he did it just right. He does it in Matrix. He does in John Wick. And I was oh, dude, they got that down. And then everybody's like, is he going to say something? I'm like, dude, there's no way Keanu Reeves, who seems to be genuinely open to entertainment as a whole, there's no way he's not going to have his voice in there. And so it was nice for them to be.
And even mocap. I mean, it's because I thought the movement looked so similar that it had to be him.
Yeah. Yeah, it definitely looks similar. And then you saw the game and you saw the dramatic drop in graphics. Like his face didn't look, the moment it switched over, it was like, okay. And that's fine because the CGI
it's a real game. That tells you like, hey, it's a real game.
Yep. It's the same thing with like Crimson Desert or whatever. People be like, this is impossible. I'll be like, there's absolutely nothing impossible about that game. Like, I don't know what you're seeing. Just ignore the CGI parts. And then we got, Tactical Octopus Action, which probably is top in my list of surprises.
Which one was that?
That was the Metal Gear sort of solid ripoff. That was the octopus instead of Snake. And that looked, I mean, that, I don't know why, but I was like, dude, that actually looks awesome. You know, like that actually looked like up my alley. But we'll break. Let me grab one of the, while we're talking here, I'll grab one video, have it play in the corner while we talk about one of them. Let's talk about Shinobi Ops, weirdly enough. So Shinobi Ops, actually, I couldn't tell if it was 4-player. That was my big, hopefully this doesn't play audio. It was gonna. So Shinobi Ops was maybe Desperados style, I guess you might say. Like a little bit Desperados. They also, unless somebody saw it and I didn't, it looked like there was a possibility of 4-player, but it also Desperado'd a lot, which means it might just be one player being these 4 characters. And yes, it is a shinobi / ninja / samurai that I think most people are really tired of, but you got to expect it. It's going to happen for the next 2 or 3 years as people roll out. China will be one. We'll talk about another one, but there's a couple that look like they might be Indian inspired, where you get like different gods, different deities, which I can't wait for. But what did you think? Are you a Desperados fan? Are you a Commandos fan?
I would say I'm a timid enjoyer of those games.
That is one way to put it. A timid enjoyer. Okay.
Yeah. I don't go full depth into them, but I do like to dip into the really good ones like Desperados 4.
Okay, that was, dude, Desperados 4, primo.
Standout.
Yeah, standout game. But I thought it was cool. They showed the other thing that the reason, it depends, but the reason why it also looked like it might be 1 player is because how they were handling the vision cones. And you really couldn't do vision cone. You could show somebody else's vision cone and your vision, I don't know. There'd be some oddities on what you display to the other person. But what I saw, as a Desperados fan, I'm actually really excited for it.
Did you like the presentation? Because it was a bit pixelated and stuff.
Yeah, it was. So listen, man, that was, I don't know what engine they're using, but it definitely looked like, we'll use the nomenclature because it's easier right now, but AA, something maybe even a little smaller. It depends. Like, I don't know, just the amount of money, but they also showed like the zoom ins they're showing right now, and the footage looks incredible where they zoom in and show the person doing stuff. And I love the idea of being able to so listen, presentation, a lot of times they'll either go full CGI or not, and it's all in game, and it's all usually stuck in a camera. So a game like this where it's like, it might be something like Desperados, but we're going to zoom in on the camera and we're going to show you that cinematic moment when you pull off something cool. The bosses or enemies look awesome. So that's the other thing I've noticed. And we'll talk about Neo, but the enemies look cool in a lot of these games. We'll talk about one particular game where I thought the enemies looked wicked. I'm always a big fan. If you can get yourself a cool looking enemy, it buys a lot for me because I want to kill that guy, Like if they look scary and they are scary, then you want to kill them more. And I think I love that idea. And a lot of games hinge on human enemies. They're all, this guy's the master of ninjutsu or whatever. All right. How many masters of ninjutsu are there? But when a dude shows up with like a human head stapled to their head, it's probably a little scarier. Probably. I don't know. Might not be. Some people might think that's a kink. Project, we'll talk about that one. Let's see. What if it's voiced, AI voiced Keanu? If it's good, that's life. Prep yourself for all this shit coming down the pipe. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to cover anything. Sean says, holy shit. He stops. He was driving and he screeched to a halt and stopped and said, holy shit, it's my first time watching you Absolute Legends live, homies. Been hearing your podcast for years. Well, thank you very much. Thanks for showing up live. Hopefully you're like not at work getting in trouble for this. Or maybe you are at work. Maybe hopefully you are at work. I don't know. It's hard to. I wasn't able to watch podcasts at work too much. I think I would have gotten in trouble. Well, not in trouble, but they would have thought less of me. You can watch podcasts. You're working from home. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
You can wear crotchless underwear and just sit there, just eating fucking fruit roll-ups, right? It's not gonna.
Yeah. It depends on the nature of the work you're doing. Some type of stuff is completely compatible with just listening to a podcast. So
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, and depending on the podcast, right?
True. I like to think we are a performance enhancer. If someone's listening to us and like looking at some code, they are locked in. I don't
know how to take that. I don't even know if I disagree, and I certainly don't know if I agree. I don't think I've ever been termed as a performance enhancer, but I do like the idea that listening, suddenly people are like, man, I'm coding way better, dude.
Locked in.
They're just locked. They're ace in code. Their boss is like, what the hell, man? Your code's just been great. And you're like,
what's your secret,
ACG, bro? Yeah. Your coding has a momentum of a runaway train. What's your secret? It's like, well, it's the ACG podcast, of course. Who works anymore? I do, unfortunately. But if I could figure out a way to not do it, I would still work. Let's be honest. I would still want to do something. Let's look at, got my list, and like I said, most footage, not all footage. Let's look at Ghost of Yotai Legends. Now, people might be like, why do you want to look at that? Hopefully this doesn't blast out. No, it's not gonna. So, Ghost of Yotai Legends, dude, I enjoyed Legends on the original game.
Yeah, good game mode.
Good game mode. Free DLC, showed 3 or 4 players running around. New enemies. Did you see some of the enemies looked really cool? They looked awesome. Again, I'm all for enemies. But did you watch this one?
I did. I didn't notice the new enemies, but it's got me excited. It's a great mode to jump back in because they always streamline so you have the classes, each with kind of a clear identity, but a few options on how to play them, but very easy to jump in. I remember being much easier than the game itself. So I could not have played the game for months and then still jump into that pretty easily.
Did we do that together with with Silver and Reg?
Maybe Reg. Yeah, with Reg as well.
Played a Ghost game at all. Like, can you believe that? Because
true.
I mean, I don't know. I don't remember if Ghost 1 had difficulty settings, but if there was one,
Yeah, because it's almost Souls. So for him to play that.
Yeah, in a way.
It's adjacent, maybe.
Yeah, Ghost adjacent. Alternative Ghost. Got the goth. Little bit of goth.
Souls adjacent. It's like there are 2 entire walls between this room and Souls.
Yeah.
But
those rooms have thin walls.
And the Wi-Fi kind of gets there.
And the Wi-Fi gets there. Yeah, if you're using 2.4, you're getting there for sure. 5, the signal messes up a little bit and you fuck up a dodge. But yeah, I would say Souls adjacent. Not as difficult nearly, and the bosses don't feel that same crush. But there's a lot to it that feels, complexity in the combat helps, I think. But yeah, man, I'm stoked. Free, dude. Like, I love free. And especially when free has the quality of, I mean, it's not a full expansion, but you could say a mini expansion free.
Yeah.
Can't really go wrong on it. I mean,
and correct me if I'm wrong, but even if you don't own the game, I think you can play. At least the prior one, I think if you just download PS Plus.
Yeah. It did say free for PlayStation Ghost of Yotai owners. So I don't know what that means. Okay. So maybe there is something unique in the delivery of that title. Because they made it clear that March 10th, and then it says free DLC for Ghost of Yotai owners.
Okay,
so maybe
that does make sense.
So non-owners might be able to buy it, is what you're saying. What was it? $15? Was that 15? I think it was 15.
Not sure. I thought it was.
Own it.
Yeah, I'm talking out of my ass. I seem to remember it was free, but it doesn't make sense, really.
Dude, things don't make sense.
I think for sure you had to pay
you
something.
And I are friends. That doesn't make sense.
It is one of the highly unlikely events of my life,
Unlikely.
Garrick, actually.
There's black holes showing up where the sun is, and then over here is
It's
you and
right
I being
up
friends.
there.
I'm just joking. Well, I mean, the chance of us being friends was zero before Discord and stuff, obviously. But yeah. No, it's cool, man. It's cool. I appreciate it. I mean, most of the time, I'm happy that we're friends. It's not all the time, most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but man, Yotai looked good. They nailed that, I think, and they nailed their DLC for those games a little bit like Ragnarok. I really enjoyed for Valhalla because it changed things up. I like those DLC that are, they're all everything you learned prior is going to work. It's just going to be a unique. You're going to need a unique set of skills, as Liam Neeson would say.
Yeah. Not a lot of games are doing this type of game, let alone DLC. I think they kind of carved out their own genre of multiplayer, which is kind of cool. This format they have really works.
Yeah. So then we get to Stirred Not Shaken. We get to 00 negative.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know.
I think I'm not stirred, but also not. No, what?
You're not.
I'm neither shaken nor stirred.
It's like water, just one water, stirred not shaken.
Yes.
I don't know, man. I see it. I love Hitman. They've taken the UI directly out of Hitman, which is great. They've added shooting because let's be honest, Agent 47 sucks when he gets a gun. It just never feels right. And then they talk about 009 in it, so I'm assuming there's some deaths or whatever. There's some big name actors in it too, which could be cool. There's some heartfelt stuff. They did make it clear prior to this showing and after the first showing that everything that has to do with sex or anything like Bond, like being suave, they've removed because they don't believe in like his womanizing ways, which is weird because Dalton's entire Bonds were monogamous, and then they showed in this trailer him talking to some hottie. So I'm like, in multiple different periods. So I'm assuming they're just going to be spies, or they're going to be like maybe femme fatale kind of thing, but no romantic interest because they said they're like sort of cutting that out. Something about like they felt that he was one of the most misogynist characters in the world or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I mean, sort of, but he's also an alpha, which doesn't remove that, but he is attractive to a certain type of person too. Just like a woman who does certain things might be attractive to certain type of people.
And it's also a character weakness, not weakness, but like
no, that's a good point.
A weak point of his that he falls for ladies, and sometimes that bites him in the ass, right? Those are plot points too.
And bites them in the ass because they die a lot of times, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, a lot of the chicks die.
They don't do very well.
Yeah.
In fact, highly recommend not becoming a Bond girl.
If a dude shows up and he plays really poor poker and tells everybody he's a spy.
He will state his name, by the way, so you won't be in any doubt. Like, is he James Bond? I'm not. No, he's 100% James Bond.
The footage and stuff looks, I would say, a good deal improved from the really framey car chase stuff we saw. It shows him out in the desert, shows him driving in a truck that just looks tremendous. It just looks incredible. Really good lighting and stuff like that. So all of that kind of stuff. I think ultimately, I sort of do want to see how they handle the femme fatale thing, because let's say there is no romantic interest at all. And then the ones we see are most likely going to be the, maybe a bad guy, maybe person caught in the middle, that kind of stuff. I want to see if they'll be able to handle themselves and stuff like that. That'll be interesting because they're out there. They're not like one of the, like Moneypenny, who lives back at the office, who doesn't have to worry about taking care of herself and fighting, whatever. These people here, if they're showing up, I'm trying to figure out where they fit in the story and if he drags them into that danger and then how that danger works out. But I think most of the missions show him in missions with guys. So they're probably just, me, I'm cool with no romance in game. I mean, if you're out there trying to save the world.
Regardless of their motivation for not having romance in a game like this, I think it's completely fine. Seems a bit out of place for you to be like, stealthing and stuff, and then suddenly, boom, romance cutscene. I don't know.
I mean, or it's awesome. It could be either one. It could be either one.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, if you have a sex scene, if you have a hot coffee scene in a Bond, I'd play it.
And then you have to sneak out, so I don't know.
Oh my God, you got to sneak. You have to there's a mini game for getting out of the door.
It's like the bad guy comes in.
She's Coyote Ugly. You wake up and you're like, oh my God, what? Oh, that would be a great mini game. You go as Bond, they drug you. You think a woman's pretty in the game. You have sex with her in the game, and then you wake up and you look over and you're like, oh my God.
That will never happen. Absolutely not.
What am I going to do? And then you have to sneak out. You have to do a fireman crawl along the floor. Then you have to go. You have to pick you have to, or open up a window, one of those little attic windows, because she lives in the attic, because even her parents are looking at her going, this is not going to work out. Something's wrong with you. So you got to sneak out of the attic in your nice suit and shit like that. That'd be sweet. It's never going to happen, like I said.
No.
Yeah, it's never going to happen. Damn it. Because, dude, a parody of Bond would be a great game. Remember James Pond? I don't know if you played those, the fish Bond.
No.
That was Sega Genesis. James Pond. It was basically a giant fish that was the 00. Don't remember the number they gave him, but he was basically just a ripoff of James Bond. That would be amazing. That would be such a good story in a game. Yeah, nobody's ever going to do something risky like that, which is fine. You don't have to do it, right? Sort of the way it is, but yeah. So be aware. They have. It sounds like they've they've desired to remove that, and I'm fine with it. I just don't see an issue with that. I think that's fine. What's up, Rogero? Yeah, I don't think that's like a bad thing. Get it out of the game, and then maybe if you go further in the game and it works out, you do 2 or 3 other games, and then I
was still living through that scenario in my head.
Coyote Ugly
that you painted. Yeah, because we've all had that.
Or maybe you just decide.
Looked great in the moment.
Maybe you wake up and you can't escape, and you have to decide between snuffing her out for the better of mankind. You're like, I think I might just have to put a pillow.
Make the world a better place.
That's so rude.
That's awful.
Somebody's going to get mad, too. Somebody will be like, I can't believe they said that about a video game character that isn't real. It's like, you should believe it. You should continue believing it, because it's going to continue happening. Yeah, it'll be fun to see, man. It looks better. Much improved, I would say. What also looks awesome is the Returnal sequel / not sequel, but sort of looks like maybe a sequel. That's Soros. I thought that looks probably one of my favorite games. I from what I'm seeing, it looks awesome. Did you watch the trailer for that one?
I did.
What'd you think of it?
Yeah, I think it's incredible. I don't know what engine they're using. Is it Unreal 5? Do you know?
Hazelight? No. It's got a name. I don't think it's Unreal. I could be wrong. I don't think it's Unreal.
They have a very unique
look.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks awesome, dude. I mean, everything they've shown. They did play up the difficulty being more and more, which I thought was interesting, because they're definitely going that route versus the, do we want more people to play? They did say you can go back to any level that you have got to. You can teleport back, so you don't have to go through the first couple levels again, which I think is one of the better changes, because I know a lot of people were not happy with the constant, grind wheel when you died in level 4 or whatever, and you had to go all the way back and start over. That kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Wasn't necessarily.
That can be rough.
Yeah. But yeah, what they showed, the eclipse, just the mystery of the game, what's going on, different when the eclipse is out versus when it's not, and all the changes that they're going to have for the game world. It changes the world. It reminds me a little of, remember Chronicles of Riddick, where they were on the, or not Chronicles of Riddick, it was the original. It's Pitch Black, when they were on the planet.
Pitch Black.
Yeah, and it at first it's all sunny, there's no rain, it's super dry, everything's super bright and in your face, and then it goes to that nighttime and changes everything. So I sort of dig that. Showed some HUD here. And a lot of bosses that remind you of Returnal. I mean, a lot of fighting that does, I would say. They definitely haven't strayed. Which is interesting, because Remedy strayed pretty heavily with their new game, and I didn't know where these guys were going to go with theirs, and these guys stuck very closely So it's interesting to see different companies handle their sequels, or pseudo-sequel in this case. I don't know if you want to call it pseudo-sequel, but you get my drift. I'm just watching some of the footage here. Looks good.
Spiritual sequel.
Spiritual sequel. That's good. What's up, Asa? Sorry, I missed somebody's comment about something. Jimbo Tron Productions 1890. See, I knew I'd get it all. Returnal was really rough for me. Bounced off despite me loving the atmosphere and effects. Yeah. Just be prepared for a much more difficult
game. It's a hard game, dude.
Yeah.
It's hard. Yeah.
They were even saying they're not allowing you to, like, give yourself any positives without requisite negatives as well. So they're like, you can change some of the way the game plays, but they love their mini-maxing.
They love that as well. In the
Yeah.
I like how the areas look different. So they showed like how the same area looks different under
during
different
eclipse.
circumstances and stuff. That was really cool.
Yep, I'm excited as hell for it. Have you played Reanimal yet? No, I didn't. I did the other one that was prior to this. You know how the two teams have switched places, but I didn't get a chance to do Reanimal. Got really good reviews. I guess, game's out, right? Or is the game out, or is it on?
It is out.
Okay, so I can say this then. I'm pretty sure with that one they had a split embargo, and I've kiboshed. You can read my Substack for why I don't believe in split embargoes at all. Even if I'm first, I'm going to refuse them, and I've refused them in the past. It's not for me. It loses me money. I don't care. I don't like split embargoes. I just find that they are there's a lot of shit that you can cause with a split embargo, like negative talking, where somebody says, oh, the people who got it early are cheaters or are not going to rate it a certain rating. If you're late, people might think you're bad. But the big thing for me is right now, a single video that doesn't do great impacts the channel. The number of people I've had say, I haven't seen a video from you in ages, and I'm seeing videos now. And I'm like, yeah, it's because I purposely curbed down some of the side stuff and posted stuff I knew would do well to get back into the algo, because the algo is so touchy now. And I actually am helping I'm consulting with a company who's helping people get codes. And one of the things it does is it looks at your past video numbers. It's totally normal, right? It refused me.
Damn.
Because of a bad video. Yeah. It was like, oh, you don't have enough to get this code. And it was a test, by the way. I wasn't trying to get one. We were running a test of the algo. And I was like, damn, there you go. That's exactly what I expected to happen. And that's because, 100,000, 100,000, 200,000, 500,000, whatever, then down to like 30,000, 20,000, back up. And they see the dip and they're like, oh, your average is low.
Wow.
Your last videos haven't done well. Yeah. So, and dual embargoes cause that. I also don't like the idea of like, oh, the people who win early are cheaters or are going to be easy on the game, because I know I wouldn't even know sometimes if I went early. In fact, I think I was told off the side. I don't think it was like something that they were telling everybody. So
yeah, and as a reviewer, you may not know you have an early embargo compared to other people.
Dude, do you know what's
worse?
You're
just given your info.
Yes, that happened with one, but the opposite happened. I was so excited for a review for a game. I had everything ready for 2 days from there, and I woke up and reviews were posted, and I was like, what the fuck? And so I tried to be nice, and I DM'd the person. I was like, hey.
Because that can tank your video, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's what happens, is it does ruin your video. And
yeah,
I went in and I was like, listen, did I mess up on the embargo? And they're like, oh, no, we had a split embargo. Some people are able to go early, but they're only journalists. And I was like, no, they're not. There's videos. There's reviews up. I'm watching. I literally watched a review. They're like, oh, what we meant was journalists
literally.
What we meant was journalists with video channels. And I was like, every journalist has a video channel. What are we doing right now? Like, why are we even pretending? Why don't you just say it was separate? Yeah, so it's one of those shit things. But moving on to good stuff.
But Reanimal did quite good.
Yeah, Reanimal did good.
I'm seeing 86% critics recommend.
Yep.
On Open Critic.
In that amount of time, I was doing High on Life 2, which, there's some issues with that game. It was fun at times, but it definitely, I think it was a little bit buggier than I was, I was really hoping for it was a bit jank. It was a lot jank. actually. More jank than I expected it to be. That's for sure. Moving on from there, let's talk about, this looks awesome, I think, personally, and it's Marvel. The Tokon or Tekon or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Did I hit the right one? I might have got the wrong video. Hang on one second. No, I did. Yeah, so they have a couple art styles. I guess I should have known that right away because they do have their cutscene art style and then the game art style. But I honestly, it's very clean, and I'm a huge fan of that. That means people who are playing it can parse the moves that are occurring. It didn't seem, there's some over-the-top moments, but it looks super clean, like easier to parse than 90% of games that I see that are 2D, 3D fighters. Like, I can actually see what's happening. It's nice, man. So I think
I hadn't thought of that, but yeah, there is something very clean about the presentation of it. Whereas Tekken, if you don't know already what the moves are, it's very hard for you to see. Is that an attack? Do I have to dodge that? That
happened in Romeo Must Die. Sorry, Romeo is a Dead Man. Somebody asked me if that was Romeo Must Die, the sequel. Now it's stuck in my head. It was so busy, and the camera could not be adjusted, and it was so close. And you'd be like, I think I'm pulling off the move. I think I am, but I can't tell you if I am or not. I'm just gonna have to
having a crack.
So I would be pushing the buttons, looking down at the life bar, going, "No, I'm hitting. No, I'm not hitting." Like it was rough. But this one looks cool, man. I really enjoy. I think it looks great. I think it looks better than, man, most 2D fighters I've seen in the last couple of years. Very clean, good separation of the background from the foreground and the characters. Seems like that's going to be good. They've got a movie style almost animation at the cutscenes and the specials. And the specials look more connected than some other specials in some games where you pull a special off and it just sort of does some shit that has nothing to do with the location of the landscape. This seems to be more based on the characters themselves and what they're doing versus like, I'm going to throw you into a volcano and then we're going to be back here, in a park. And you're like, dude, what? Now that's saying something. It could switch, but yeah, dude, I love the art, man.
Yeah, I agree. I think they're cooking with this one.
Dude, yeah. I'm literally watching it as entertainment as we talk right now. That's how good. Like, I would watch an anime if the animation looked like this too, probably.
Yeah.
If it was Marvel.
It looks very smooth as well.
No.
So.
But you're not really a 2D, right? Not really a 2D.
Sometimes I am. I played a lot of Dragon Ball, one of the fighters. I'm trying to remember. Budokai 3, I think it was.
3?
And that was similar to this, more like 2D based. And also looked a bit more clean like this. I really like that one. I played a lot of that.
Dude, yeah, I'm watching this, and it's so crazy to parse a 2D fighter these days. Like, visually, I can go, to the right is Wolverine, to the left is this. He's doing a spin. It's all, it's all like onomatopoeia. It looks fantastic for a 2D fighter. Just really bravo to them for not looking like that other one. The one for the Amazon cartoon. Is it Omni-Man? Invincibles.
Invincible. Yeah.
That one looks wrong, man. There's something messed up with that game.
That one went a bit too comic book, I think, because this is not like cel shaded or anything. It's just hella clean.
Hella clean.
That is actually the best way to say it, like you said.
Hella clean. And you know what else was clean? Kina. I thought Kina looked really good too.
Yeah, and the first game was quite good already. I think you reviewed that.
Yep.
You liked it overall too.
I had some issues with it, but overall, it was a good game, and this one looks to be building on that. And again, clean, different style of graphics, but I think the graphics look good in this. They've got I don't know, what do we call, man, what do you call it? Like, soft-edged, sort of lacking in, like a hard edge to it. A little bit stylized. Just a little stylized, a little laid back almost. A little cute. We'll call it cute.
Cute?
A little cute.
Almost chibi with like big heads.
There you go.
Kind of.
Yeah, a tiny in some characters. But overall, like the effects and stuff, like I'm watching her walk through the dust here, the particle effects around her, all that kind of stuff. And, if they've improved the combat some, man, Like,
And they got spirit companions now. So
Yep.
that looked cool. So you have like these little companions that presumably fight with you.
there's a couple games this show that had companions. The
I noticed
ninja,
that. Yeah.
the ninja biological ninja one also has that dog with the feathers or whatever. Looked creepier.
The Beast of Reincarnation.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one's
I
got a
have
wolf
the,
dog.
the one note I have here is big fucking dog
Yeah, big. Yeah,
because he was massive.
yeah.
But it looked cool.
Kina, man, she's riding that animal around, and that is some of the best graphics, like for this kind of game. I'm not saying the best graphics ever, because it's, that's here nor there. I'm just saying as a delivery device for what they're trying to do, that is some of the great, like she's riding. And by the way, not a lot of FPS drops. It didn't look early in the way that sometimes games look early. It looks fantastic, and it looks like it plays really well. Like even that, man. Dude, how many times have you spun around to shoot somebody with a bow and arrow and it looks like you go too far with your reticle and you aim past them, or it's zoom in? When this character did it, obviously the person's played the game, but it was smooth. Just smooth, man. Like everything about it looks smooth. Really good. Really good looking
It just
game.
looks ready. The
By
game
the way,
looks ready.
I'm not going to go through the exclusives. We'll talk about them, but very few of these were exclusive. Just be aware. A lot of these were
That's
not
an
exclusive.
interesting trend too, right?
Microsoft does it too. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think it used to be
Where they
a
only
much
show,
bigger percentage.
Yeah, I mean,
They show mostly exclusive.
I think these companies, because a lot of these had nothing to do with Sony, just like Microsoft showed that some that had nothing to do with Microsoft. It's just games cost a lot, right? So you have to sort of figure out how you're going to handle things, and sometimes you got to get that third party to show up, and you just absentmindedly don't mention the competition, which is fine. But yeah, this looks awesome, man. Can I say that? I'm going to say it. And this is not a fair comparison. I want to point that out. But it is a comparison that my brain popped into my head while I was watching it and now. It looks 50,000 times better than anything Fable showed. Okay, we're moving on before somebody gets mad. But it might be the female protagonist. It might be that they were both riding across countryside. One is probably going to be trying to do, a ton more than the other. They're different styles of games. I'm not saying that they shouldn't even be, should be compared. Yeah. But when I saw it, I was like, interest-wise, this one interested me when I saw it much more. The other one that interests me, Silent Hill, dude.
Oh, yeah.
So a seaside town. So everybody thought it was Cthulhu before they showed like a couple of the things. Once you see a bunch of mist, you're like, okay, this is either Cthulhu or this is, this is a Silent Hill game. I think this game really interests me because it's seaside. I love the idea of, I'm a big fan of Cthulhu, which is always like some seaside port town goes fucking nuts. The Japan one was great. I like Silent Hill F, or Silent Hill Female, as they call it. I don't know if the F stands for that, but now it's stuck in my brain when somebody told me they thought that's what it meant. Dude, I think this looks great. Like, I like the protagonist. I think just overall, I was really, before somebody says anything, I'm aware that there were definitely some odd things going on with textures and presentation and fidelity, we'll call it. But I don't care. I thought the character looked like he might be interesting.
Yeah.
Just the location, man. Just like,
yeah, for their type of atmosphere, which is like mist based.
Right.
It's perfect,
Pyramid head, like dolphin comes out of the water and you got to fight it. Like, I have no clue what's going to happen, but I just liked it. There's something about the look.
Good setting for it.
Good setting, yeah. And a different one, finally. I know that F was different, but it was still, it still felt like the same thing. This one, some of the stuff just looks like it might be a slightly different tact. We'll have to see. But yeah, man. Like, him waking up and looking at all the medical shit connected to him, you're like, dude, what is going on? Annapurna, which is an interesting publisher, but for various reasons. Don't want to diss on them too much. Yeah, I'm just looking at some of this. This looks awesome. And then they have, it looks like the precursor to Pyramid Head. He looks like Triangle Head. Like he got halfway there and didn't mature into Pyramid Head. I don't know. Maybe it was just the angle they showed him, but he looks like, or axe head. It looks almost like the head of an axe for his helmet or his head or whatever it is. But do we know the genesis of Pyramid Head? As in, do we know why he looks like that and what he is supposed to symbolize? Do you have any clue?
I don't believe so. I think it's a mystery. I think that's it. And that's part of the charm.
Is the mystery? I think mystery and charm are good for 3 titles. Once you get to the 4th title and you're still throwing Pyramid Head out there, I want to know, was Pyramid Head, like...
You want to know what's going on?
A little bit more, yeah. But I don't know. Maybe there is something about him that...
Axe head.
Because I haven't studied the... what do you call it? But yeah. Graphically, yeah, this looks... God damn, I'm excited for this, weirdly enough. When I say excited, I mean, if I'm at 0... Normally, I'm at 0.2 out of 10, which is pretty excited for me. So kudos to them. Let's see. What else do we got to talk about? I got a bunch of videos here. Okay. Next up. Well, for a second, I guess. I don't know if there's anything to really talk about, but we've got Death Stranding 2 on PC. Is that big news to you? Is that important to you?
No, it's good. No, the only thing is it was quite fast getting it on PC, so that's cool. I know in our Discord, a couple people mentioned several times like, "Oh, dude, can't wait for it to be on PC," because they didn't have a PS5.
Yeah.
So that's nice. A lot of new people will get to play it.
Ultra widescreen support for PC owners.
Yeah. I don't think it's a game I would ever replay, personally.
I mean, if I'm given a code and there's nothing else, I might, but I don't have a draw to replay it. I enjoyed it, much more than number 1 by a gargantuan amount. And
good word.
Gargantuan, it is a good word.
Powerful word.
Yeah, powerful word, especially if it's your doctor talking about just your right testicle. It's a powerful word. That right testicle is gargantuan. You're like, uh-oh, something's wrong. Nixie's doing pretty good. They've had some issues here on a couple, but overall they've sort of got there. I mean, it's so weird to be celebrating a company figuring out the platforms, but it shows how difficult it is that you notice how difficult those ports still are or can be in today's market, especially with all the different AMD, Intel, different video cards.
Yeah, and you don't want to be the next shitty port that everyone is talking about. Last of Us had a big problem with that day one.
Let's put on the notes to talk a little bit about that. This is really sad, but that shooter that came out just a couple days ago and they laid off the team this morning. Highguard. Yeah, we'll talk.
I got it in the notes. Yeah,
okay.
It's tragic.
I apologize. I thought I didn't see it, but yeah, pretty tragic. We can talk about that too. But let's talk about good stuff for right now, because there's a bunch of good. Now let's talk about Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 2. I got it all out. Don't care.
Okay, do you know the meme from The Office where it's the girl and she says they are the same picture, or it's the same picture?
Oh, yeah, I do. Okay, I do.
Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah.
That when they showed the side by side, I was like, I legit actually paused the video.
Yeah,
and sure, you could, okay, I can see it. But to call it a high res,
it would have been an even better commercial or a better joke if somebody had just got their remote and you saw the sharpness meter come up and they just went from 0 to like 5 and then dropped the remote and they're like, I'm playing it already. Whatever, But yes, I agree. I definitely agree. The upscaling is like, okay, it's very close to the older style of ports we would see, where it was like, graphically, where it was like it's running on this new thing. But for a lot of people who haven't played it, I don't want to go back and play a game like that anymore. I definitely found that out with the last one that just came out when I was playing it. I had a bunch of bugs with it. Jesus, that was a buggy game. But even without the bugs, I was like, damn, this is old. It just creaks with age. You really realize when a game is stylized and does well, that it's going to age worse, most likely, in its mechanics. You know, like just especially, and I definitely noticed that. I was like, oh, damn, this feels like, you know, it feels a little like crap just because it's been so long, not because it was crap at the day it came out or anything. But for people who want to play it, you're finally getting it. What's it have? 2, 3, 4? Was that how it's going?
Yep.
2, 3, 4. What, $60 for 2, 3, and 4? Which, you know.
A good question. Yeah, I have no idea. We've seen remasters of these games already, right? Maybe not 4.
I think we
saw,
did on
like,
consoles.
1 and 2.
I'm grabbing a pill here.
Yeah. Okay, go for it. I just said my only issue with it, I like those games, but I wouldn't replay them because of this remaster, because it's such a small difference.
Right.
So I don't think it's bringing in too many new people either, because they look at that and they say, well, it still looks hella old.
Yeah.
So it's not, you know, it's not like a
3 for 60 is why that is going to pan out well, though, right? 3 games for 60. That ain't bad. You know?
Or 40 if you go low.
Yeah. Sorry, I've got a migraine.
Yeah,
I got to take a pill here.
No problem.
My
Take
head
your time.
is fucking killing me.
Dude, I'm such a bitch for headaches.
Me too.
Like, I can take some other types of pain pretty well, but then like I have a headache and immediately like
the day gets
I'm
worse.
unable to do anything.
I'll do anything to get rid of it too. So you know how sometimes you get a headache from, let's say, lacking a vitamin or whatever. If I get, the moment I start to get a headache, I start grabbing like things out of the fridge, like all kinds of little things. I can tell that I'm getting a headache because I'll be like in the morning hungry, which I never am. And this morning I woke up voracious and I was like, oh no. Fridays are hard though, because the last couple of days I've been playing games and I think I was doing the neck crank kind of thing, you know, where you lean back and you put your head forward.
You
and
were locked in.
My neck was hurting a little bit. And I was like, ooh, I hope that doesn't. And then I think when I play, I might tighten my jaw. I think it was just multiple things, but I caught it early. I think we're good. I think. But dude, yeah. I mean, hey, it's Metal Gear. $40-$60, whatever it costs. It's got 3 games. That's not bad.
Do you see new people that haven't played these games getting into it because of the remaster?
I haven't looked for the data. I know that people in our Discord who are watching it were not interested because by now they would have been interested in some form and played it. But for whatever reason, they're not a Kojima fan. They've heard enough stories about the wonky waiting around for like long cutscene, whatever. Maybe they did Death Stranding and they were like, hey, I like the idea, but Metal Gear doesn't interest me. But that's a small sample set. Very small sample set. So I don't know. We'll just have to see. But yeah, I mean, overall, hey, like I said, when you package multiple ones in the same remake, I think that's a good way of doing it. Ubisoft did it, and I know people often get mad about that, but I think that if you're not going to rebuild it from the ground up, right? If you're not going to Terminator 2 that bitch, then might as well deliver more than one in a small in a package and just go ahead and deliver it that way. That's smart move. Financially makes pretty good sense, I think. Oh yeah, wow, that's bright. Take my breath away. Next up, Castlevania. So I don't have anything to say. The games were not my thing when I was young, or I missed them, and so what I saw was like, okay, I guess I don't even really know if people are excited about it because I didn't really hear much talk about it, but I think they should be because it's Castlevania. They're fans of Castlevania. It looked pretty good, I guess, but I don't know much about it. So anybody in chat, if like you're super excited for this, it'd be nice to know if you are.
I'm actually excited for this one, and I have a weird journey with Castlevania, which is I haven't played any actual Castlevania games. But which is odd. But then I've seen the anime they did in, or the animation, I guess.
They
did in Netflix. and I really enjoyed that. Not the new one, but like the original one they did was great. They had some great characters in it, and I saw in the trailer that like some of the characters are in there.
Sure.
And I thought so that's cool, but then also I thought it looked great. I don't play a ton of these like side scroller style, but I've played some that I've really enjoyed, and the combat seems really fun. So I'd be in it to try it.
Another game I was excited to see comes out in 2026 this month, or this year's packed. Dude, it's packed. So many games are coming out this year. Like, it's just ridiculous, man. Ridiculous.
And it was gonna be a low year. Might end up being the opposite.
Yeah, and the cool thing is, you know, hey, I don't know. Somebody else will probably disagree, whatever. I don't think AA's save or AAA's save or quadruple A's save or indie games save or itch.io games save the world, right? Like, they're all games. They're all going to get released. They're going to have their price points, and we'll just play them. And there's so many games out that by trying to itemize it, doesn't really work. However, I do like myself some surprise games, because then you've got what you've got, you already know, and then you have these little snippets that pop up and you're like, whoa, wasn't expecting that. So for example, most of this stuff I expected. You've got God of War. We knew the remakes were coming. Like, all that kind of stuff was like sort of a known entity. There were a couple in the event, couple in Microsoft's event that I didn't know about. That's always awesome. So instead of like, if it's a AAA surprise, awesome. If it's a AA surprise, awesome. If it's an indie surprise, awesome. But I'm more for the surprise, because I think that causes more excitement to me than somebody saying, Crazy Taxi is coming. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's cool. But if I hadn't known and they showed more of it and it was ready to show more of it, it would have been a much more enjoyable exercise of discussion than it is seeing a single JPEG or a car go around a corner and hear, yeah. And you're like, okay, Crazy Taxi. That's cool.
I forgot to mention also why I was especially excited for the Castlevania one is the Motion Twin people who did Dead Cells.
Yeah.
That I loved. But this visual style I like much more than Dead Cells, because it's not the pixelated.
Two things about that too. You're absolutely right. And also, wasn't Dead Cells the game that sat around in early access, changed a bunch of shit?
Yep.
Yeah, I did not like the Dead Cells I played on early access versus the final. So
it changed so much.
Yeah, I'm more for here's the game. The early access shit where they're like, we want you to make games with us. It's like, no, I've got my job. I'm over here doing my job. Deliver me the game. like I'll buy it. But I like the idea of, hey, here's our plan. And I think that's the way Castlevania is. They didn't say anything about early access. It's like, here's the game. And I think that's awesome.
I hope it is. Yeah.
I hope so too, man. Because I'm going to be really depressed if that turns out to be an early access game. Because
it's out in early access.
Which means it's not out at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe that's years.
Maybe that's a little rude, but
it's because early access can take 2-3 years very often.
Yeah, 2 or 3 easy. I'm trying to find the game I wanted to get the video of the most. I may have to go and grab it again. My auto grabber didn't grab it. I put that in as a download. I want to talk about the chicken, the God of War Dynasty Warriors ripoff. That thing looked awesome. What's it called?
Maybe the highlight of the show. It's Project Windless.
Terrible name.
Windless. Yeah. Giga Chad Chicken Simulator. I mean, I'm all in for that. That chicken looked amazing, dude. It just kicking ass.
That chicken looked amazing. Didn't think you'd hear that.
It was incredible. It was incredible.
So here's some stuff I noticed. First of all, love mythologies that don't have to do with the typical shit we're seeing all the time, right?
Yeah.
And that guy shows up, and it was such a funny discussion because one of the guys in the chat's like, that's a hawk. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? That's a fucking, look at the gobblers, man. He's got gobblers.
Yeah.
And they were like, how could that be cool? And then he started just fuck stomping the ground, running around smashing people. And I was like, yeah, that looks like that could be fun. And then he's got the rip-off Kratos warband colors. I mean, he is Kratos. Let's be honest. This is, by the way, sort of this company's shtick, which is to pseudo copy a main character and gameplay from multiple games and throw it together. Sometimes it works. That's the way it is. But if you look at him, even his fur is the color of Kratos, that gray, whitish gray, got the red bands, got the splashes of red. Very, very, I'm not going to say questionable, because you should copy. I think copying is smart. You're standing on the shoulders of the people before you and hopefully stomping them into the ground with your own success. So that's what I think we see with this. I think it looks awesome. I think it looks funny as hell.
Yeah.
Everything about it was like, yeah, I like the idea. I also want to point out, this is the one that made me think of Enemies. The chick has a very Indian mythology look to her. Not the typical samurai kind of stuff, even though it had a lot of Dynasty Warriors kind of things to the gameplay. The Enemies had a very not really that character, but like just a different tact. And man, super excited for that. Dude, it just looks...
Agreed.
It just looks
fun. Fresh.
Yep.
Fun.
Yep. And it looks like fun is right, where maybe, listen, I love God of War, but God of War is pretty tight. His movement style is tight. He's got the pull up his ass and he turns like a mannequin, had a really bad night the night before. And
and he's not allowed to have fun, even like 1 minute of the day.
Yeah. Kratos' version of fun is, dismembering a guy twice somehow.
It's just different degrees of suffering.
Yeah. And so the idea that this seems more like power trip a little bit. Yeah, I felt so. And just over the top Dynasty Warrior stuff. And here's the thing. The combat looks 10 times better than a Dynasty Warriors, but it's still got a ton of people in the game, a ton of enemies. And they did some really good job with some of the hit effects. They did some really good job with the animation of the character. It doesn't look like it's Dark Souls from what I saw. There was dodging and stuff, but you were still taking on a shit ton of people, all that kind of stuff. He's got a
lot of enemies.
A sonic rooster crow. This guy's going to get up early and he's going to kick some ass like roosters do. He looks, I'm just looking at all the creatures. It looks good, man. It looks good.
I hadn't noticed, but some of the enemies,
go ahead.
Some of the enemies have an odd inspiration, just unfamiliar, like coming from some other mythology.
Dude,
that's not the typical one.
He's even got the Giga Chad walk. Watch him walk. He's like, how, so if you want a character to look like really
rocking his shoulders,
feminine, you do the female hip bone, which is different than the male, so they have the sway. He has the Chad upper body, no leg work walk. This guy's not done leg days. He's a chicken. They're called chicken legs for a reason. And he's like, boom, boom, boom. He's like, little Travolta music, little Bee Gees music.
And he's got this massive spear. I think it's a spear.
He's got spear. He's got double swords. Yeah. He's got everything, man. He's jacked up. He's a jacked up warcock, and I can say that without worrying about getting kicked off of YouTube. He's a jacked up giant ass warcock.
He's massive, by the way. He's like twice the size of these people.
He's easily twice the size. Great. Yeah, he's easily twice the size. And I don't know what she's doing there, but I can't tell if like she's talking down to humans, which I love that in an enemy. The Thanos was stupid. But still, I like the way he talks to others. Like, you are nothing, or you have absolutely, where they're so beyond the beyond that the people aren't even ants. They're just rocks that somehow move. And I love the way she was talking to the humans. She's just dissing on them the entire time. That's good
motivation to want to take them down. If they look down on you like that.
She looked awesome. He looked awesome. I mean, maybe there's some he, she, maybe they get together.
I thought you were going there. I mean,
just saying. Maybe
the logistics would be tricky because he's so much bigger than. Okay, let's not get into.
Yeah. Oh well, he's bigger than the humans, but not her. She was pretty tall. What if they have a love affair and they're trying to find the egg she laid? The big. Okay, if she laid the egg, that'd kill her. Now that I think about it, that'd be a big egg. Like that'd be yeah. But dude, I'm just looking at this footage. It's rocking, man. And the blood isn't red; it's the dark, from the body blood. Because blood doesn't look like the band at the top of a spectrum analyzer. You know, where it's fucking glowing like you see in in a lot of movies. You'll see that red blood. That it depends on if it's oxygenated or not, but a lot of times it's that dark crimson where the red is really only seen when a light hits it and reflects from it. And they've got that when he's slashing his swords. It's a darker red, and it just looks awesome. Warcock. Yeah, it's gonna cock of war. God of cock. God of cock. You can call it that. You can get away with it. I can get away with any of this. God of cock. Because that's what, it's legit. No, he just looks awesome. I love him running up the side of this weird-ass shaggy, I guess you'd say monkey? Maybe a monkey? It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell, because that thing's huge. And it looks like a Bigfoot, man. It doesn't look like a normal monkey. But, yeah, dude, hopefully this turns out to be something. These guys don't have the greatest track record. So, but
yeah,
it looks fantastic.
I was going to say something motivational, like, you don't get your first hit until you get some misses. But then sometimes you don't get hits. And
yeah, sometimes you only have one time at bat, and the rest of the time, you're cleaning up the adult theater on the midnight shift.
And you turn out to be that person we all know who's been given way too many second chances.
That's true. Man, where they fail upwards a little bit, and you're like, oh my God, come on, man, that's not working. Yeah. It is a mythical looking game. I think it looks like it's going to be awesome. I can't wait. One of the more exciting games in it, also not exclusive, but at least that's what I heard. Not exclusive. So. Which came first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know. Never mind being different species. It is a fantasy game, guys. I don't think I'd worry about that. I mean,
True.
I don't think fantasy cares about your
worries.
DNA. Yeah. But it would be funny.
Yeah.
It would be funny if they were like, you guys can fuck all you want, but you're not going to have kids because of the DNA. Hey, it could be like Biomutant, where we see fantasy, and it is fantasy, but you find out it's like, genetically modified warcocks from the past have come forward and taken over the world. Warcock. Okay, I'm done saying it. But yeah, it looks awesome, man. I'm really excited for that. Super happy that they were able to show something that surprised us, right? It was a surprise.
Yeah.
It was something different.
100%.
Let's see. What else do we got on my list of showable games here? Okay. Very short, but probably my excitement of the show is Dead or Alive. So they're redoing Dead or Alive. I don't care. They're redoing the last one. Who gives, whatever. Microtransaction hell, that game had all kinds of issues, but they did announce that they're working on the brand new one. And as somebody who likes the fighting in Dead or Alive a lot, this last one had great fighting, terrible monetizations, just the worst you could imagine. And if you imagine the worst, that would be the scaffolding on which you would climb to describe how bad it was. That would
wow.
It was train simulator levels of microtransactions. I'm not lying. It was I don't want to say that. I'll just say people working on the game knew. We'll leave it at that. It was that bad. It was like, yeah, we know. This, though, the idea of a new Dead or Alive, I love the sidestepping. I love the combat in this last one. If they can keep it locked down to that, and look good, look more current. Yeah, I'm all for it. And I love how the trailer ended on her boobs. Dude, Johnny.
Dude, it was.
I don't know if you saw
the
trailer.
Come on, man. I did.
Trailer.
Yeah.
I see.
It was just literally zooming on the boobs, man.
And there wasn't even a person who
excuse.
That's a thing, but I love that I think we're slightly going away from all the worry of the past 5 or 6 years, and the sort of there maybe was an underreaction prior and then an overreaction, after COVID and all that with the cancel and we can't do this. And they're like, dude, we're Dead or Alive. This is what we do. And we're now, if it was Western Dev, I don't know, would they get away with it? I don't know. But I love that the trailer didn't even go to her face. And you're just like, okay. And I laughed out loud when it didn't go to her face. Because I was looking at it going, the music is actually trailing off. You know how if you do music long enough, you'd be like, this trailer's not lasting long enough to see her face. Up to her boobs, and it's like, weird.
You already know it's not going to go to her face, is it?
Yeah. But you know what's weird? They are grotesquely top heavy in those games.
Yep.
However, the combat is amazing. So it's like, weirdly enough, I'm for the gameplay on that one. I'm stoked. I'm really excited.
Okay.
Really excited for a Dead or Alive. I want to see more competition. I mean, I get that the spam a lot Tekken is fine for people, but I like a more ground. Even though the games don't look grounded compared to Tekken, they are. So like a Virtual Fighter and a Dead or Alive and the more grounded 3D fighting games I'm into, or 2.5D. I don't know what you call these anymore. But.
Yeah, as an art style, it's too top heavy for me. I think it just
you can turn
starts
the
to look
down.
Oh, can you?
There's a slider for breasts. Yeah.
Oh, of
and
course there is.
Jiggle at least. So maybe you can't turn the size down, but maybe in the customizer you can. But yeah, you are right. Yeah, no, I think you can just do jiggle. So we'll see on the new one. You are right. It's goofy looking.
Yeah.
Where is my extreme or Dead or Alive extreme beach volleyball? So listen, that game's awesome. Volleyball game actually works in that. But if you want to see a truly extreme game, check out Outlaw Volleyball and Outlaw Golf. They got like GIMP caddies with GIMP balls in their mouths. Dude, that game is hilarious. They just don't care.
Wow.
They say crazy. They like spanking each other on the butt if they get a hole in one. That shit they say is. Did you ever watch the Japanese TV show where it was Americans doing the voiceovers, the Takashi's Castle or whatever it was called? Extreme Sports Elimination, I think is one of the other translations. But it was basically a Japanese game show. And then American comedians did the voiceovers, took the footage. That's the kind of
the ones where they're like they have obstacles and stuff.
And she'll bow and she'll be like, I like the way your armpit smells or whatever, something weird like that. That's sort of the way the Outlaw Golf, Outlaw Volleyball worked. They were 360 games, I believe. 360 also had Dave Mirra's XXX BMX, didn't it? The BMX game that showed boobies, I believe. MXC. Yeah, what does that stand for, though? Extreme. What's MXC stand for, Deagle? Do you remember? It's been a while since. God damn, that show was funny, though, man. Holy shit. I love the idea of over. I mean, yeah, it was. I guess somebody get mad and be like, it was culturally.
It's offensive.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is. And that's why it's funny, because it is offensive. And like,
yeah.
When something's so offensive that you know that the original group isn't doing that or joking about that or anything, and they're also offensive naturally, the show was already. They were. I mean, there's some weird shit that goes on in the show, actually without the comedians on top of it. It should get a little bit of a pass, but Spike TV, that's how I saw. Yeah, that's how I saw it too. I just don't remember most extreme. So just most extreme challenge. Okay, thank you. Most extreme challenge. All right. Those are the ones I had, Johnny. Did you have any others in the event that I missed? I'm sure there were.
Yes.
Go for it. Let's discuss.
Okay, so one thing is we touched on Brigantine Abyss. That game looks interesting, right? With the big dog.
Oh, you mean the biological ninja one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looked cool. But for me, the most exciting game after the chicken game was Control. New Control game, Resonant. And I have here in my notes, holy shit, the Bent City looks incredible. The moment I saw that was, Inception, but in a game where the city is actually bent and you can change the gravity pole and go to these different. The only thing, you do have to use L3 to land on the platforms, which I despise.
Yeah.
But again, I'm going to use a different button.
Yeah, right.
But regardless, that looked really cool as a concept for like a map for you to explore. I'm all in on that.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say about that. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that I liked the changes in Control, and I'll mimic what the other people said instead of saying my own thing, because I already talked about this prior. The trailer did way worse to make them not want to play it than they thought it was going to, this last trailer. And I think that was probably because they saw how Devil May Cry Dark Souls it is. And there's probably just an overall bit of fatigue where control. So camera angle matters. Camera distance. I think the closer combat and stuff, it's great, but it is you are going into a genre that is quite literally so top heavy now that control as a world is what's going to draw me, not anything I saw in movement, if that makes sense. So I like control. I like SCP, right? But I didn't get drawn to the multi-shooter at all. I didn't even play it. It didn't look at all. So that pull is only strong enough to a certain extent. And what I saw was like, oh, this is definitely going the more rote kind of like expected. You go from spot to spot, you land. Really janky looking movement in some places, but it's early. I don't know. You know, I want to play it, dude. I'm an SCP fan and I love Remedy. But I need to get my hands on it and find out what it is. People don't like that character, which I also wasn't aware of.
Really?
Yeah, but I think that's not disliking him. I'll speak for them. I think that has to do with liking Jessie. I think that's what because Jessie was she was a weird character, right? Especially at the starting, you're like, why am I even here? And she's acting like she's in control, and these people are acting like she's in control, and they didn't even tell you why. You just show up, and you're sort of in charge of shit, and then the story is this odd thing. And I think people wanted to see where she was going afterwards, or they just like her. I can't speak for them, but
okay.
I can't say if I dislike him too much because he was barely in the first game. You know, I mean, when it comes to like the overall scheme of things.
Have no idea.
You know, yeah. And
but what about this? If you look up, imagine you're on a roof.
Okay.
You look up.
I'm imagining. Go.
And you're seeing a whole ass, other surface of the city that's like bent vertically. And you see like enemies moving on top of it or like stuff going on. So it's not just dead, right? Like stuff is going on, but it's shifted over gravitationally. Isn't that cool? Okay. You got nothing from that.
No, it is. It is. Yeah, it is. I don't know. I don't know. Like Inception.
We do have to see it in practice.
Yeah, we have to see it in practice. And my worry is that what it's really going to be is just, hey, look, we can rotate the screen by 90 degrees. That's my big worry, if that makes sense. And after a while, you're like, okay, whatever. Now I'm on the ceiling. I want to see. There's a gamesmanship that happens when an enemy can't get to you. And it felt like there was a lot of points in that game where that's exactly what was happening. Where, like, you could choose when to go. Like, you were on this top of building. And by the way, this is such a small amount of footage. It's why I didn't really want to say anything. Because I don't think it's fair for me to even... if I were to diss on it heavily, this wouldn't be fair. But I'm not. I'm just standing there, looking down, not having a gun. You're changing the combat to close. But you're changing the combat to close. But that close can only occur after you do a double jump, which looked pretty janky. And a weird stop motion thing that occurs to land. I wanted to see a glide. I think that would be good. I think if you get a true glide power, not a jump power, but a glide power, I think that could be awesome. And I assume that's happening in the game, just because most games give you a glide after a while, right? That could be cool. Shifting weapons is just really a weapon with a button, and instead of pulling out another weapon, it's transforming. Like, that is all that is. So, like, that doesn't interest me as much. But the location, outdoors and indoors, when you look at, like, back rooms SCP, it's sort of bureaucracy. And it's, like, that's the fear of back rooms, is endless office space. That's why you don't see a lot of back rooms that are... You see a mall, but you don't see a lot of back rooms that are endless forest. Because a forest already has an endless gothic feel to it, that it is endless. You go into it, you could die. There's wolves, blah, blah, blah. That's why you don't see it outside very often. because SCP does work a little bit better in contained spaces and the mimicry of geometry twisted. So they tried that with the buildings, but it didn't hit the same as if it was inside where there's that feeling of like, is every machination of office work and the grind of what we do, like that kind of thing that
true.
Worked so well in SCP stuff.
It was a lot more oppressive as well, right? Because you're in these spaces and you're getting lost all the time.
Yeah.
And here, presumably, if it's just open, all of that is gone.
True. Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah. But that could also be its strength, too, maybe. Is that I don't think it's all going to be on the city like they showed either. I mean, that wouldn't make any sense.
I'm hoping there will be areas where it breaks out.
For sure.
You know?
Yeah. And in the alleys and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that'd be great. An alley that just kept going, you know, and you had to like sort of notice what was slightly askew and that's the door you can go, you know, all that kind of stuff that you can do that. It's just we didn't see much in this trailer. That's why the trailer didn't. I am talking about the trailer, not the game, because I have no clue about the game. But the trailer didn't do much. Not that the game won't do much. It's just that trailer. I was like, okay, you know. And graphically it looked good. You know, but they make good looking games. Right?
Yeah. It looked like more control.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. I was missing okay, you just reminded me of something. You know how in Control they had the ground that was like made of almost digital hexagon black steel. You know, where it would like, and it would go up and down, and it would geometry, you know, the geometry, that didn't seem to be there. And I do like that. I would love to see the buildings doing that. You know, like the buildings coming up, throwing the ground to the side. You know, as you see debris fall and a building comes up, you leap on that building, you run, fucking ground pops up or it comes off of something, you know, else. You see it bust through the windows, and now you got to leap onto that. Which we didn't see in the trailer, and now I'm making shit up because I don't know if it's there. But I'm saying that would make me go, oh, that's you know, that's something worth it. So yeah, but overall, I mean, dude, it's Remedy. I'm not saying that they get a pass, but they do generally do good games, even if they have some issues. So I'm excited in that way. Real question, ACG, do you know where Sinking City 2's been? They showed it off Solar and Go. Yeah, they showed a trailer. Maybe it was a behind the scene. Maybe it was like a here's where we are, but it probably up to no more than 3 months ago, I think. Right? Because I thought we talked about it in the Discord. Yeah, I think we saw a trailer about 3 months ago. Don't remember what was in it, but we'll have to see. What else you got, Johnny? What other cool ones?
We talked about John Wick already, right?
Not really.
Pretty much.
I mean, not a ton. I don't know if I even put up footage. Let me look, because I don't know if I had the video for that one. I think maybe did I? Give me 1 second. Nope. Or at least we didn't put footage up. No, maybe we did. Did we, guys? I can't remember. Let's talk about John Wick again. Dude, let's do it again.
I was excited, man. I mean, it looked good. It was like we were talking, I think, maybe before the podcast. I think it was
before, yeah.
It looked like him, you know, like the way he moved and stuff. And sure, not like the cutscenes look way different, right? But as in, like a lot of what we saw were cutscenes.
Yeah.
Or maybe even all of it.
Right at the end, they showed him throw somebody into like a wall, a lot like Samson, the Samson.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Where they show a lot of environmental fighting. Listen, I don't know what it is, you know, but they showed the third person enough to make me think that's the general, you know, gist of the game. And Keanu's in it. It's CGI right now, but I guess the big thing, right, is are you going to be able to grab stuff like he grabs a frying pan and stuff? You know, is it going to be? I assume it'll be like Sleeping Dogs in a way, where you'll be grabbing stuff. You know, put their head in an air conditioner, drop the air conditioner on their head, close windowsills on their head. Remind me a little of Punisher from the old 360 PS2 days. I do like him blocking bullets with his arm. Do you know how much that fucking hurt?
Oh,
if your arm was bulletproof, let's say you put bulletproof whatever on your arm, The amount of bone breaking would still be insanely high if they were firing multiple rounds at you, or fractures at the very least. But I love that he's just like,
it was very casual too.
Yeah,
he just as if someone's blocking like
it's
a pillow thrown
dodgeball,
at them,
and you have to hit their head, and he's like, "Nah, man, you can't hit my head if I cover it." Yeah, it's which sort of works, but yeah, I'm excited for it. I mean, dude, I'm excited. Keanu seems to be genuinely excited about gaming, and this is the straight up fact. We need more movie stars to pull their fans into gaming if they're interested, only if they are. I don't want, the attached, the guy who gets paid to just show up. And Matthew McConaughey seems super excited about being in Exodus, and I think Keanu's just excited about engaging with humans. Keanu might be a robot that is trained. He's got an older Gemini 2 AI, right, where it's learning. And they're all, we don't want him just read the internet. Let's put Keanu out there. Keanu has such a effect to him that is so unique. He's a very unique person, and he doesn't even like the Keanu godness that a lot of people, the most amazing human in the world. I'm not saying that, but he has an affect that I love.
Yeah,
and it's
absolutely
it's and I could say Matthew McConaughey has one, but in a more your Southern friend who parties a little too much, but drops a really knowledgeable one-liner at the end of the day that you're like, that made me think.
Drop some nuggets.
Drop a nug. Oh, what's this? SBZ, what's up? He says, okay, guys, I know Star Wars is dead, but I'm thinking of getting Star Wars Galactic Pod Racer. Now that is pod racing. Yeah, it looked awesome. I thought the pod racing game looked good. I'm not super into pod racing, and it looked good to me. I mean, I don't know about you. I thought graphically that game looked great.
I like that old pod racer game, and I've always wanted like a new one, and now we're getting it. So there we go. We'll see if I really did want the game or if I just thought I did, because sometimes we don't know what we want.
We don't.
In a weird way.
We don't. I saw it. I saw
Once we get it.
I saw the initial, trailer or whatever, and I was like, pod racing, whatever. People love the idea. I think that's cool. I've got this cool 3D effect where I go outside of my camera, and it's like I'm dude, it's sort of actually pretty cool. Wait a minute. Where I go outside the camera there, go outside the camera there. It's like I'm in a 3D world. I don't know. That impressed me for some reason. But yeah, the pod racing graphically, it looked really cool. I think they said they have a bunch of different vehicles, so that'll be fun. Yeah, it's good stuff. Graphically, it looked really good. I thought all the racing footage they showed looked. I just don't know if a racing game that's arcade like that on tracks, unless they really ramp up the customization like a racer does, I don't know how long it would hold me. And I don't know what those upgrades could be. Could they be hidden weapons? I'm sure they'll do different engines. Could you make your own pod racer? Oh,
let's be honest. Good. How responsive can that vehicle be? I mean, it's this just massive, like rocket-driven thing.
We can test this. Let's go get a toboggan, about 80 feet of string, and tie it to 2 747 engines and turn them on and see how good you are at controlling. Because, dude, there's a world's shittiest design. When you look at those designs, you're like, damn. Yeah. And they have like an electric magno beam that holds them together usually. And you're like, this is quite literally the worst, most dangerous design of all. Like, how are you going to control that? But yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it looked good.
It did. It did look good.
Eternal says Star Wars Galactic Racer looks like a fun arcadey nostalgia trip with all the classic hovercrafts except with modern graphics. Yeah, and I don't think it's just the hovercrafts. They did say bikes, speeder bikes are in there. So you got a little Jet Moto kind of feel that might pop up. I mean, I'm excited for that because, Jet Motos, that's more nostalgic, but I do like just speeder bikes. I'm a big speeder bike fan. So, yeah. It looks good. What else do we got?
So they showed Marathon.
Did they?
Yeah. I'm very worried about this game.
I don't remember them showing Marathon at all. Okay. What did they show?
Like a 2-minute gameplay trailer. And,
Okay.
And I just think this is not a game people are going to want to play. I'm not seeing it. I wish I could be more optimistic because I wanted to see like a comeback story there after all the difficulties. But I just think this is going to land like you know, like a bag of turds.
So I don't know how I missed that. But
honestly, you didn't miss much.
Was it at the end? No, I was there at the end.
Let's see. I think it was towards the end. Mm-hmm.
Listen. I don't have anything to say about Marathon.
Yeah.
I was going to say something, but I just don't have any. It doesn't even look. I don't know what it is too much. I mean, I've seen. Wait a minute. Is this the really slow trailer? Like they were doing a weird story bits and some guy was doing a voiceover and they were walking super slow. And it was showing almost what looked like single player stuff at the starting, where it was really slow, and some guy was like, "We're all animals," or "We're all monsters," or.
Oh, I didn't even have the audio, by the way.
That was Marathon. Oh my God, that was Marathon. I forgot. Yeah,
I didn't even have the audio. I was just watching.
Gotcha. Which was very odd, super slow at the starting. It was like, is this a story? Is this a story level or something? But yeah.
And then I think we talked about For Loop, right? Did we already?
No, that was the shooter. So it reminds me a great deal. By the way, even the reticle's the same. The After Earth that you and I played. After Fall, After Earth. It everything. The biological stuff, the multi-portal stuff, the guns, the characters. That looks like a sequel to what we played 6 years ago, maybe. I'll go with 6 because it was pre-COVID. I think it was it was pre-COVID for sure. But yeah, I don't know what you're being told to check Discord for some reason.
Yeah, there's this picture that's going around of the Concordian timeline. It starts with Concord and then it goes Highguard, Marathon, Horizon Hunters.
Why?
I don't know. Personally, I think it's unfair. I think Highguard, although it's not very good, it's also not Concord.
But what's it even supposed to signify? That there were only 4 failures in the last 6 years? There's been like 6,000 fucking... Dude, memes are some of the dumbest stuff ever. It's like...
It really is. Somebody just put 4 things in a picture.
Yeah, somebody put 4 things in a picture and they're like, haha, look at me. It's like, dude, you're AI. You're stupider than AI. Yeah, I don't know. No clue. That's ridiculous. But by the way, if it didn't include the one Microsoft vampire game, then it also is even stupider. Redfall? Is Redfall in there?
Redfall. No.
Well, then that person who made that meme not only failed at the most basic task ever, they probably can't breathe and walk at the same time. They're so dumb. Yeah, I don't know. Just doesn't make any sense. Just completely stupid to pretend like those are the only... There's fucking so many failures right now and games that cost more. The thing about Highguard, because you and I were going to talk about it anyway, so we can blast over to Highguard for a moment. Dude, so it was interesting to see like all the rumors about Highguard, and even we talked about it, like what you should say versus what was known, because there were, everybody who pretends like they know what's going on does a YouTube video, like big white letters, bold, I know what the fuck I'm talking about. 3 days later, the news changes, no video to correct it. But first it was that they paid like $6 million to be at the end of the game trailers, which admittedly is probably the only thing here that makes any sense that they, that maybe they did. Then there was the handling of the game as a whole, and the announcements afterwards and the coverage afterwards. And it's just a game that didn't, it's a game that aimed for the absolute wrong spot. I don't know why people are aiming for it. You know what I mean? Dude, so if you look at Overwatch and then you look at more of the team-based shooters, all that kind of stuff. There's these massive ones. I mean, look at what Overwatch did by adjusting itself. It jumped back up the Steam charts. It's obvious that that genre is flooded and that only a couple are going to grab anything. So why try? It seems like that anybody in a boardroom or a group of friends getting together to make a game, they would look at that and go, I don't know, man. Extraction is much less of a risk when you think about it because it's got some big games, but it's still not near flooded. We're getting there. But you know what I mean? Like it's such a scary place to leap into, man. How are you going to beat? I mean, even look at Rivals, which is sort of an Overwatch, clone in many ways. Even
very hard to beat.
Very
already.
hard. Yeah. I mean,
and then Overwatch, they just have the built up content and player base over so many years and everything that,
I mean,
so hard.
Team Fortress 2 still has massive player counts. People don't want to move. And until they do want to move, I don't think even getting a new game that does well means they'll move. A lot of people are just not going to move in that genre. Yeah. There's something about that genre that people are just like, and then if you build ecosystems around it, like the skins for Team Fortress, it's even harder because people have vested actual businesses, mixed up in there.
Yeah.
So
you need a very big reason why should I go from Marvel Rivals or Overwatch to this new thing? It could be IP. Maybe it's a cool IP that gets people interested.
One of the ones that
Marvel,
pulled
that's how they did it.
Yeah, but it didn't even pull the numbers. Marvel isn't what it used to be, though, now that I think about it. If that had happened 10 years ago, a Marvel one, it probably, you know what I mean?
But they're still doing very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
but then again, you just don't have any of those things to get people into your game,
Dude, it's rough. I feel for him. I wouldn't know what to do. If I was on a team that was like, we're going to do a hero shooter, I'd be like, well, this anti-hero's out. I'm gone. It's tough. And then let's ignore the genre. It's tough when your announcement lands like a turd on hot cement, man. And you know why? If that had been shown at a different time, I bet you people would have been like, whatever, it's another game. But it was at the end of the Game Awards, a place known for charging insane amounts of money for normal spots, let alone the last spot. I think it was probably done by the goodwill of, it sounds like Jeff was like, I like this game. I want to show it. Yeah. No money, but it should have been announced. I think it would have been better if he's like, hey, listen, but you can't, it's difficult to do because then it makes everybody else go, they didn't have to pay and they got chosen, which brings us into a discussion that we already know where that's going. Like we need some changes in how
they also didn't do a good job telling us what the game was going to be, because if they said, listen, cards on the table, we're going to try something difficult here. We're going for a more competitive version of these games where, you're going to require mastery, right? To get to a high level of success. Sure. And that's part of the buy-in. And we're not there yet. Maybe we need to do some beta testing, get some feedback from you guys. What's fun? What's good? What's compelling? Let's go. That's exciting because that gets you the buy-in of people who thought Marvel Rivals maybe was too casual and they did want something a bit deeper, for example. Yeah. But that was never
translated
we just
at all.
Saw that once the game came out, but that wasn't the pitch ever. We didn't get that pitch.
Agreed.
From them. Yeah.
And it had mounts, which turned out to be really awesome. The videos I saw, the mounts looked like they'd be a blast to play. Because I love myself some scooting around levels. Like,
sure.
And they were showing some pretty good aiming from
shooting
the back
on
of
a
mounts.
horse on paper is fun.
Yeah, not in real life. Clint, $5 super chat says, do you guys have any new information on Little Devil Inside? Listen, you paid $5, so I feel bad because the answer is no. But I will say that Little Devil Inside still, when I see old trailers from it, I'm like, God damn, I like that. I like the look of that. Yeah. But it has gone the way of
Yeah, I Googled a little bit for you, and sadly, nothing's coming up.
Yeah.
There's no movement there. There's no news at all.
Yeah. God, it'd be so difficult, man. So difficult to be making a game and have that game get delayed internally, you know, because you're trying to make a good game and you know how fast coverage goes. And people are finicky and they have old games that they love to play. And there's so many different... I mean, dude, you and I have joked about if you want to read a fantasy book, there's only not to be rude, but there's only probably 5 or 6 premier writers in fantasy. Some die because they're older. Some don't do anything after Game of Thrones. You know, just joking. But you get a lot of that, right?
Wow.
Imagine if there were 100,000 potential, you know, at some point you're just like, dude, I don't, you know, am I going to buy this book based on the cover? Like, how is there any data about if it's good or if it's not? And they don't cost $8. Games cost 60, you know, like that's the other thing. The cost of a game, it's a huge sunk investment. That's why it always stuns me whenever I just talked to a reviewer a couple of days ago. They're like, I never take money into account in any way, shape or form because games are art. And I'm like, bitch, I just bought an art piece and it's on my wall and it cost me money. And that's art. What are we doing? How do we magically say games are art, therefore money doesn't matter? It's like art is quite literally one of the most expensive things you can buy. And it is based on that. It's based on how much you feel, how much you like it. It's such a bad excuse. It's like, dude, we live in a world right now where people are having the worst financial troubles of their lives worldwide. Can we not pretend and try to be all presumptuous about this shit and agree that money does matter? Come on. Come on. We all like steak. Not many of us are going to go and buy that piece of steak from the leanest, nastiest part of the cow unless we have to. I'm sorry.
Agreed.
What a jackass. It just, social signal bullshit. Not having an open beta was a mistake. Agreed. Little Devil Inside is MIA. Agreed.
Yeah.
Should at least had a beta. Should have at least had a beta. Yeah.
And they did, because part of the news
was the beta went live, right? Or something like that?
Part of the news was that they laid off a bunch of people. So they had a team of 100 people, about 100
the data
people.
Yesterday. Yeah.
And we heard from one of them. This was Alex Grainer, who was also a developer in Apex.
Mm-hmm.
So he got laid off. He said a huge part of the team got laid off after launch, which sucks. But I think you also have to be pragmatic, right? What would you expect? Like if you launch your game and it's basically not warranting
a
roadmap, because it just feels like it's not even at the level of needing a roadmap at this stage. So,
dude,
I think it's just a sad reality.
It is. It's the sad reality of where we are. Remember when you'd hear about a company, they do a game and it didn't hit, and you'd hear them say, well, that game didn't hit. Unfortunately, we're going to the next game or whatever. Now, you can't. You know, there's just one game. It costs so much to develop, or there's expectations on stuff.
You can't keep going.
You can't keep going. Yeah. And it was very sad. I did see his posts. I read them. He talked about coverage. He talked about just, do you know what hit me? And it hit, I'm not super empathetic, but it did hit me. He said he went from the highest moment of his life prior to the trailer hitting in the Game Awards. And I knew where the conversation was going the moment he wrote that sentence. I was like, oh man, I already know. Because I've had it. You've had it. You know, we've all had that. I think as humans, we've all had the Everest slide where you get to the top and accidentally, you know, miss your hold and you slide all the way down. And he was like, it was top of his world. And then it just came crashing down. And I don't wish that on anybody. You know, a game is a combination of many people working, and you try as hard as you can. And so I can be empathetic and say that sucks. That sucks. And they tried. And by the way, I don't think that game's bad. It's not, and it doesn't have the issues that Redfall had. Redfall was buggy. It had all kinds of issues, you know, with the way things go, the way things were put together, the way they played out. With this one, it was a lot like Concord in the idea that it was a game that just didn't have an edge to it. You know, it just didn't have something to draw people. And so you got to feel for him for that. I think.
Yeah.
Oregon Fresh is a badass. He just said, could not care less. He's a badass. He's so cool. He doesn't feel nothing.
At least he didn't do the thing. You know how some people say couldn't care less?
Yeah.
No, they say I could care less.
Could care less. Yeah. They'll mess it
up
and reverse it.
You're like, actually yes, saying you could.
Yeah. I'm expecting it to last longer than 2 weeks. Yeah. True. At that point, people had stopped playing, especially with lack of communication. Yeah, people had stopped playing. I mean, you can reverse people stop playing if you're on top of things, good communication. It was rough.
And I mean, technically, they could turn it around. You know, they could say, listen, okay, we kind of blew the launch, but we see, you know, many of you thought we had potential here. We're going to double down. You know, we got this roadmap. We believe in this game. We're going to do like play tests with you guys, get a lot of feedback.
Yeah.
We got these milestones for the roadmaps where we're going to be releasing, you know, new game mode or new blah. And, you know, work it from that angle. I think you could do it, but
it's tough.
Sometimes you also got to cut your losses, you know, if you just don't have the money coming in, right? Because your game is not doing okay.
Well, we talked about this
sometimes
a couple years ago that gamers for years had been saying if something wasn't working, they were mad that companies would keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. And now we've seen the Sonys and Microsofts, AA's, AAA's, indies pull away and just say, we're writing this off. We're writing it off. It's not working. You saw Remedy was saying they're writing off that Firebreak, but they're not writing it off in the sense that it won't still have some content or it won't continue. The servers won't stay on.
Right.
But sometimes you have to just be like, this is not working.
It's basically showing up as a cost for them.
And we have seen games that have smoldered with a small group explode later with a couple streamers or whatever. It's not impossible. It's just improbable. Very improbable. But it has happened. I mean, it absolutely has. There's a history of it happening. But I think ultimately maybe they also got a little analysis paralysis. Maybe they were planning on the trailer doing one thing and it didn't, and their plans were in place for rollouts of PR, and then it doesn't work, and you're like, okay, how do we do this? It's a big deal to be on the Game Awards last one, right? I think.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. So, we get to see that it doesn't always work. There's also, you know how the world is so anti-big anything now? You know, Game Awards are getting big. People are starting to like push against it, you know, blah, blah, blah. I think that being the end of the Game Awards means this, bear with me here, because it's not going to make sense in a number scheme. I'm talking more like what you and I talk about, which is like the philosophy and building
perception,
the perception and building a plan. If that had been in the PC Gamer Awards or the PC Gamer summer video, a smaller show, and was not at the end of a thing where the expectation is like, let's say Call of Duty end of like we used to get a big Call of Duty, or you get the big brand new game from Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo, the expectations wouldn't have been as high, the confusion wouldn't have been as high, because less people would have seen it, and it could have spread by word of mouth, where you were like, oh, did you see that thing? That might be fun. They've got horses. I also think the steeds are a special thing.
I love how that's the main thing.
Well, it's the only thing. I'm being nice. So there's not a lot of games that really have steeds for everybody. I think if they had stated these, we have barely anybody on the maps for a reason, and here's why. One of the weapons in the game, in a weird way, is the steed, because of how much of a game changer it can be if you're on it, and play up to the unique part of the game, because nothing else is unique.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Not every game has to have everything be unique, but they did have something unique there. And, you know, if I was in a group, I'd be like, hey, the one thing we've got unique, why are we not playing this up? Why aren't we not explaining? For example, people are like, why is there only 3v3 or 5v5? They're huge maps. Well, our unique part is why. So why don't we kill two birds with one stone and cover the unique part, and why there's a smaller group of people, and why it doesn't matter, why it's not going to be boring, you know, because I think a lot of people looked at it and thought it'd be boring, just as a game, you know. No Man's Sky is proof a small team with a bad launch can turn it around. Yeah, No Man's Sky is pretty rare because of procedural generation and how they use it. They also are able to make changes that don't require the hands-on that most games do for a patch.
And I don't know what financial operation was behind them that they were able to keep
Sony originally
churning free content.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they were, backed by Sony or what was going on, but they keep doing free content, and it's working for them, but I think a lot of people could.
We have an X-Space game developer in our chat, in our Discord, and I've talked to him a couple times about like what are his thought processes about, say, his game, his X game, and releasing an expansion versus like No Man's Sky and their expansions. And it's interesting to hear a developer be like, hey, we wish we could, but it's not even the same kind of development process, because one is like you can change colors in all the universe by typing in a number. And the other is you got to go make that texture, and you have to, it's a completely different thing. I think also No Man's Sky, listen, despite the lies, because they lied, if you remove the lies, they still did have the ability for you to fly around, go to different planets. And we've seen a lot of games that are survival games have way less and do well. Way less. I mean, not to be rude, but a lot of survival games are like, hey, here's the ability to punch a tree. And they do, after 2 or 3 years, they're still super popular. So it shows that genre in and of itself might be a bit more forgiving. And I do think No Man's Sky is a weird survival mix. There is a lot of survival in that game. I mean, it's also just pure galactic bliss flying around.
Admittedly, the survival parts are the worst when it comes to like the Sentinels. And
okay, let's do this. Travel, exploring, traversal, story, combat. That's how I would rate it. Combat's quite literally 0 in that game.
Yeah,
I'll give it a 0.1 for combat in No Man's Sky, because space has some
it
combat.
Technically exists,
and it exists. You can point something at something and fire. So you got 0.1, and then you got the story, which is just a meandering. They've added little bits, but it's all about that. It's too big for you to understand. But then you look at the exploration, traversal,
and that's
the wonder,
juice.
And that's the juice. Yeah, that's sexy as shit. I mean, it's
spaceships, getting a new spaceship.
Yeah.
Economy, selling stuff, getting more powerful, getting your freighter, having now a fleet.
Yeah. If anybody wants to see how they make or how their programming differs from normal games, maybe not how they're, blah blah blah. There's some GDCs that show them looking at the procedural generation, and the same stuff. Anybody like the original Sinking City, when they were planning to give out their procedural generation city tech, they didn't do it. Which I gave them no end of hell on Twitter about, because I was super excited for that procedural generation. But it is a vastly different production pipeline for development than Elite or the X games, X4, X3 Reunion. They are different for sure. SBZ, what's up, buddy? $2 super chat. So has anyone here tried God of War, Son of Sparta? It's a big negatory, right?
No.
Light no fire, better up that combat portion. I would agree with that. But if they don't, just make sure you don't have any compassion for their failure. Just joking. Yeah, no, I agree. I hope they do. I'm Light no fire's a cool step in a different direction. Fantasy, big. I don't know if I want to join together to pilot a boat for days across the sea, which they were trying to tell me was like a big deal. They were like, hey, man, here's a big deal.
This is going to be great. And it sounded terrible.
Yeah, it sounded terrible. It was like, damn. I guess not, SBZ says. Yeah, it looks like nobody played it. Joey says, I played the Pragmata demo. It's a short but sweet 15 minutes. Combat is actually fun. So let's do a little game we play in the Discord. 15 minutes of combat, 15 minutes of the demo Pragmata. Enjoyed it. Fun. Now multiply the 15 by 30 times.
Yeah.
Do you think you would enjoy that combat if you played it for 30 times that 15 minutes. Because I think that's really what, because I heard somebody else saying the same thing. They were like, oh, yeah, the combat's good. And I was like, what would it be good after 8 hours? And they're like, oh, no, probably not. And I was like, okay, well, they'll probably add things to it. But I was like, that is one thing you have to remember on those short demos.
Yeah, because if people don't know, check out a video because it has this very unique
mini game, I guess
system. Yeah, you got, so it's real-time combat, but in order to enable certain abilities or actions, I think you have to use your D-pad, right? To do, you do a little hack mini game with your D-pad, which is basically like traversing, in the right order. And then I think that unlocks a move. I saw Cowboy play the demo. It looked interesting, but again, to your point, how does that stand the test of, 5 hours, 10 hours? That's very difficult to see until we get more data. And that's the problem sometimes with demos that are very short like that. You don't really get a good picture. I think Neo 3 had a pretty good demo. I think you get a very good feel for, do you want this game or no?
That's a good point.
No, it's a good chunk.
Neo did a good demo too, because I mean, you are trying to reach out to other people, new people to play that game. So you're changing some stuff, but you have to make sure that your longtime people don't buy it and get pissed. So the demo helps in all ways. Person can play it as much as they want. They can bounce off of it. I watched Lucitan play it. He was having issues for a while. We walked him through some fixes and he was able to defeat a boss. And I remember he was like, oh, I've died a bunch of times. And I was like, I was trying to explain to every person who I've seen fight and do the demo or do the game where they hit that first boss and they die a great deal of times. And there's a frustration that builds up. And I'm like, man, just remember, that's not abnormal. Not everybody's wearing Bobby socks playing 2 Dark Souls games at the same time on their Twitch channel. That's a very special person who's got insane gifts. And by the way, if you see them streaming a game for 60, 80, 100 hours, it's a different thought process than you just jumping in for the first 4 hours. It's just a different, that's how skill is built. Don't be too disgruntled by the idea that, hey, I can't get by this boss after 20. Because, dude, that first boss, I luckily got away with that guy. But I had a lot of trouble on a couple bosses in that game. A lot. A lot. And sometimes I was like, auto
and that
grabs,
is the game.
But
you're going to die a lot.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And then the sense
For
of,
sure.
I always think somebody should take account the very first time they have a sense of accomplishment in a game like that. If it's very high and you feel that it is worth the 3 or 4 hours that you may spend, then you're probably in good shape. But
I think so.
If your sense of accomplishment goes away in, let's say, a couple seconds or a couple minutes, that's probably not the game for you, because the offset of accomplishment versus not accomplishment is going to be
if you don't get the dopamine, when you finally beat a tough boss.
Yeah. And it's got to be
then
a
also
pretty high dopamine too, because
the frustration can be high sometimes. So has to be, but the moment to moment has to also be fun, like the sheer, like swinging your sword, that type of stuff also has to be really fun for you to keep going. I think it's not enough just to enjoy the reward.
Agreed.
There is something about the loop itself, I think the exploration helps in this one because it's yet another thing to break away from the really tough boss encounters. Because now if I hit a wall and I hit one boss that was pretty tough. I needed to do quite a bit of attempts to get through it. And I had the option to, hey, I can go explore. I'm going to go clear some areas. I'm going to get a bit stronger, maybe practice my weapon a bit more. Boom. I came back strong, beat the boss.
Can we also just admit that if you are okay with grinding, you're not going to spend a ton of time on a boss. I think most players aren't. They pretend they are, and grinding becomes exploration versus... So, for example, if you take on human ghosts, you are going to get a bunch of shit super fast. And once online finally worked for me, the moment I started killing the revenants, we talked about this, I think that's what they're called, but you kill the human
Yeah.
Copies. You start getting copy after copy after copy after copy after copy of items, and some will have a slightly bigger bonus than yours. You replace it, and pretty soon you're 25 points in armor higher than you were without losing any skills because you're getting copies. And I know people don't want to do that, but that's what the game, I mean, it's there for a reason. That's what the game's there for. And the exploration.
That is one big difference as well.
Well, hang on. I just want to point out that the exploration is great. However, exploration leads to a very high danger curve because it's new stuff. And you might get a new sub-boss like I did with that stupid ferret, where I went over a hill and that ferret was there and I was doing the exploration and I got just smoked to the point of being like, what is going on? And then I was mad at my exploration. Sorry, I just wanted to point out that there is a different curve there for the exploration. But what were you going to say?
Yeah, you can hit a wall there too. Yeah. Well, Neo is a much more stat check game than any other Souls, because it's a lot about your stats.
Yeah.
Of course, also about skill entirely, right? And you learning your moves and everything, and sometimes parrying or on the ninja like dodging. But you can stat check bosses if you have enough damage. You absolutely can. You just pick the biggest hammer you have access to. You get a lot of stats on that stat, on strength or whatever, and you're gonna do like 1-2. And that's going to do a ton of damage to the boss.
Right.
If you have good stats, if you've grinded a bit. And I think you have to, some people will have to do that. But that is absolutely a valid way to progress through the game. It's overpowering bosses, with good stats.
With them good stats. Good stats, good strats. Let's see. SBZ, $2 super chat. He says, lastly, what do you guys think of Requiem and the trailer? I mean, I'm ready for the game. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like,
oh yeah.
There wasn't much surprising in it. And the game is probably as good as I'm just guessing, but probably as good as the last ones. They do a good job on their games. For the most part, Capcom is definitely high up there in their ability to deliver really good games. The trailer, I sort of paid attention to, but I sort of also was like, I'm going to just go ahead and, wait until the game comes out. Not skip trailers per se, but just not stress so much about what I see in them.
Yeah, we didn't see a ton new. The city looked really good.
Yeah.
So part of me is hoping we're going to see more outside stuff, because Resident Evil 2 remake was pretty much entirely indoors. And I did hope like there was a bit more of outdoors. Village was a lot outdoors, but then it was a completely different setting altogether. So it would be cool to see a bit more city. The dual protagonist stuff works really well for me. I've always liked the way they do it when they do it. And so I'm excited for that. I think overall it's going to be, their benchmark is already pretty high, but I think they're pretty good at hitting it for a solid Resident Evil game,
Off topic of that, but we'll return right back to it. I think Kig was telling me that Dragon's Dogma 2's frame rate was fixed in the city too, on the PlayStation.
Really?
On the PlayStation, at least. Yeah. Which was interesting because I hadn't heard much about Dragon's Dogma 2 in a long time, and he was playing it, I guess, and he was like, "Yeah, it's fixed." So I want to go back and check that out.
Kudos to that guy, whoever was working on that, for years now. He's like.
That's what I was going to bring up, is they do have some issues with performance in their games, especially when you look at like that Monster Hunter, right? Where you get, some oddities in those. But Resident Evils are sort of the thing. I don't get as excited about a Resident Evil, but I enjoy playing them a great deal. It's weird. It's like I'm not even really thinking about it. And then when it comes and it's available, it's like, okay, that'll be fun. They do a good job with quirky. They're not super hard. They're like they're not popcorn games at all. I don't think it's that negligible, but there's something about them that is, I know what I'm getting with a Resident Evil game, I guess.
Yeah.
If that makes
I think
sense.
that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think 4 was a standout. That was definitely a very fun game compared to all the others for me. Like the combat was fun, the action, the pathing and everything worked incredibly well. And the people speaking Spanish was funny. Everything just worked really well. I think that's probably my favorite Resident Evil 4, followed by the creepy house one, 7, or Biohazard.
Yeah, it's crazy because they just nail the RE games. Like they just do well. The only one I would have a weird issue with, and this is repeating ourselves at, now it's getting ridiculous.
3? Yeah,
3.
the remake. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only one where I was like, that was right at the cusp of like, okay, guys, but they just nail them. They do. They're one of the better developers right now. It doesn't mean they don't have issues. Dragon's Dogma had issues with FPS.
Do you think that some of the vestiges of the older games, like the Tetris inventory and like the storage, the way that works, and like crafting where you get 2 plants, you got like green leaves, red leaves, and boom, that's like,
yeah,
those are kind of from the old days and they're still there. Do you think that some of those elements need to be reworked or reimagined or evolved, or are you happy with?
I agree with you. They should, but they can't all be done in one game. That would be ridiculous. The amount of pushback they would get would be insane, and it wouldn't make sense. But if they want to rework like this one, where they're supposedly reworking the safe room a bit, and they're like, this enemy may be able to get into safe rooms, blah, blah, blah.
Baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps. And then you look at I will say with the crafting, I don't want to go to a fucking, like a crafting table to craft a plant. Dude, I can smash 2 plants together and eat them right now.
Boom.
I don't need, what am I going to do at a table? How's the table going to magically make smashing 2 plants better? You could make it sound like a mortar and pedestal, you could be like, whatever. But that,
I liked in Last of Us, how you would go to the work table, the crafting table, and you would modify your weapons and stuff, and you would see it. It was kind of visual. You got the sound as well of everything happening. That was really cool. I'd like to see that.
Wait.
Like mods for your weapons where you...
But you would want to see a crafting table, because so I don't know if those have any comparison. I don't know. I mean...
So Resident Evil, we find pieces like a mod for a weapon. We and it would be in weird places, right? It would be like in a bird cage that the only way to open it is to solve a puzzle.
Yeah, you got to lick your elbow. You have to like do a sign in the air, and I get what you're saying now.
Yeah, like look at the moon in the right angle. But okay, even through some of those elements, it would be cool to have like the weapon modding thing. I think that's a really good addition from games like Last of Us.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I want one more thing at another table. I just don't know if I want to have a specific spot. It's why Outer Worlds 2 was enjoyable so much for me, because the one companion was your crafting table if you wanted to take them. So you could choose, do I want a mobile crafting table? Yeah. And let's be honest, how many people played that game and forgot to take him one time and were like, oh, shit. I didn't bring the guy who can craft, and I need to craft right now. Yeah. So, it depends on how the game's made. I get what you're saying, but I just, the idea of one more place to stop and do something if you're already stopping and typing into the typewriter, you already stop. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. It would just depend. Yeah, it would just depend. I mean, the inventory Tetris. It is
adding one more.
People love the inventory Tetris. I don't, but if they removed it, I would not like that either. Because that is some of the biggest parts of Resident Evil, is figuring out what can fit.
Yeah.
Even though I get stymied by it a lot, I'm like, why can't I care? It may be a little more realistic. Maybe a little, or maybe not realistic, but a little bit more. There are times where you're like, why is this fucking plant taking up a fucking full square when the healing box is a perfect box and it does take up a full square? I'm like, this is like a white onion.
Makes no sense.
Why is it? Yeah. But that's let's be honest, that's so meta at that point.
These leaves
That's
have
just us
no
bitching.
dimension. Why are they occupying like an entire?
I mean, I'd just tuck it into the beanie. I'd be like, dude, I got extra pockets everywhere. Somebody said Code Veronica is the only one I'm looking forward to play. Yeah, me too. I can't wait for Code Veronica remake. That'd be fun to see. For sure. Moving on from there, what do we got on our plot list for discussion? We still have a bunch of shit, actually. Oh, I got some questions. We'll go through these. Can you grab the Discord questions as well?
Got it.
I got a crap ton of questions, so we're going to go through. Was the surprise launch of Ghost of Sparta, God of War, Sons of Sparta, a masterstroke? I don't think so.
Sorry, is that the remakes for 1, 2, 3?
Yeah. Or is that the Sons of Sparta? No, this is the 2D. Isn't Sons of Sparta the 2D? Oh,
yeah, the other one.
Guess it can't be a masterstroke because neither one of us know which one of the 3 remakes or remasters it is. Yeah, I don't get too excited for like the 2D stuff. I was more excited for the remakes, for sure. I thought that was cool. Yeah.
I would be excited to play those.
I agree with that. Let's see. Next up, if we got a John Wick game now, who's next? What action movie character deserves their AAA title? Ooh.
Oh, okay. That's a good one.
Jason Statham as like...
Oh, dude, he would just be mumbling the whole...
He polishes the floors late at night at like a football stadium that then gets attacked by terrorists. And it's called like the Polisher instead of the Punisher.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm
the Polisher.
I'm just a working man. And his wife has left him because he won't go above that. He seems to be just happy at that, but you find out that he won't go above that because he was a killer prior and doesn't want to get back into the life or get a bunch of money that would maybe pull him back into that life. So he's just polishing floors and he does a good job. The boss is like, dude, I don't know where you learned how to polish floors, but you're like the best polisher. And then everybody's surprised when he's killing people. They're like, wait, the floor polisher? Every movie
everybody could obviously see he's completely jacked, but
he polishes the floor.
But now
with
they're
his shirt
surprised
because he's always got to get his. That dude's
of
always
course.
got to take the shirt off.
He's polishing without the shirt.
Strangely stretchy Levi's. He's definitely or work pants, right? He's got the weirdly oddly high crotched work pants so he can spin kick. But he's just just polishing floors and he doesn't want to get into it. But maybe his daughter tried to sneak in to see her or to see him because the wife is moving and she hasn't told him. And the daughter who still loves him, she loves her daddy. So she sneaks in, she gets picked up by the terrorists. And now you pissed off the Polisher.
And so now it's the plot of Taken.
All over again. Yeah. Well, what isn't the plot of fucking Taken these days?
Yeah.
Let's see. Overwatch spiked again on Steam. Do you think this is Second Life or a fluke? I don't think it's died to have a second life. It's just the ebb and flow. It's like a movie star.
They're very consistent.
They had their movies when they were young. They
it's similar
sort of
with League. It kind of goes up and down, but you have a massive returning player base.
Do live stream showcases like State of Play still matter, or should studios go full Nintendo Direct? I don't know if those are necessarily that different. I don't know if they matter. But they're fun to have. So I don't know if it matters if they matter, right? Like it's just, it's games.
I think they moved the needle, right? I mean, well, yeah, maybe it wouldn't matter exactly how the data is presented, right?
Exactly, because what I'm saying is a normal YouTube video of a surprisingly interesting game can explode. It doesn't need an event, but it's nice to
especially now because you have the Reacts content and like all the stream influencers, like Asmongold will watch your YouTube trailer and that gives you more than like...
I've decided I'm just going to start watching Asmongold react and react to his and be like, this was a real reaction, I believe. Let's see. If you could revive any old franchise a la Castlevania, what would it be? That's old. Zillion from the Sega Saturn or Sega Genesis. Sega Master System. Sega Master System. What about you? That's an old-ass game.
Does it have to be old, or can it be a bit more?
Yeah, it even says old-ass franchise a la Castlevania. Old-ass. So ancient-ass. Like, I mean, but it can be like Joust or something, because like you could do some crazy shit with an amazing graphic Joust game like Smash Brothers.
It's a good question. I don't know if I have one necessarily.
That's fine. Like a classic Driver game, but with that franchise. Oh, Driver, yeah. Let's see what else. Now that Mario Tennis Fever's finally hit the Switch, does this rejuvenate sports spin-off games? That game didn't review great. So, I love the spin-off sports games, though. I do like those. Like, they have you turning into babies in that game and relearning how to play tennis as a tutorial in the story. Like, some smart stuff, some goofy fits with Mario. I guess it didn't turn out as well as they thought, but I like the spin-off stuff. I think that stuff's fun. Like,
that's cool.
Imagine an NFL game instead of the combine and shit that we see all the time. What if you start out in the backyard? You learn the stuff with your friends in the backyard at the football field when nobody's doing football, and you just go with your friends on the weekend and you play football. I mean, I know that's not a thing for you, but yeah.
Yeah, I get that. I think career modes are highly underrated in those games, by the way. That was always my favorite part. Like way back in the day as a kid, I used to play those soccer games. And I say soccer for your benefit, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The career mode was the most enjoyable thing because I would kind of have an emergent narrative around it.
In your head.
You're having your little journey.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed there. Danny Passion, $2 super chat. Are you more excited for John Wick or 007? Okay. I mean, does that need an answer? Well, it does. He did a super chat, but John Wick by a huge margin. However, we didn't see that much, but even just a little bit we saw at the end where you saw like a few close quarters combat stuff, that has me more excited than everything we've seen in 007. It's so true. It's so true. The mystery of John Wick's 7 seconds absolutely trumps the 45 full minutes of gameplay we have of
the
James
reality.
Bond. And I like Hitman. I like that company. It has nothing to do with that. But yes, without even, it's not even close, actually. Let's see. Oh, hey, does adding Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and other heavy hitters to PS Plus finally make Sony's catalog irresistible? I love your guys' podcast. Keep it up. I don't know about irresistible, but Spider-Man 2 is a great game. Heavy hitters on a subscription service always matter. They do matter, and it's a big deal if you haven't played. It's a great game. I think it's generically, yes, of course it matters. Right?
I really think the PS Plus catalog doesn't move the needle for anybody, because for anybody who,
in a weird way, because it's got good games.
Yeah, but a lot of times you've already played those games.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Unless I think maybe I'm missing some people here. The people who like just got their PS5 and it's their first, Sony console.
Sure.
That's great because, hey, you have access to this great catalog.
Yeah.
Right? I think that's maybe the winners from that thing. The only people who really benefit.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it even more so. That's almost any subscription service. And the reason why I say it is this. Would I get Netflix without knowing what was on there? No. Would I get Amazon without knowing what was on there? No. So to me, these big games matter because that is why I would get on there in the first place, is for something that I didn't have originally or something I want to revisit. So to me, of course, it matters. I mean, it's a big deal. I do think that a person who's young and brand new, it's going to matter more because they haven't experienced them. I think that they may not have, there may not be as many of those gamers as we think, because they have mobile or there's other services or they're not into gaming because dude, there's a pretty big difference between a 16 to 22 year old's disposable income, way they play games compared to you who are 10 years younger than me compared to somebody 10 years older than me. It's changed dramatically. The old days, if you said you were a gamer, there was usually one or two ways to get games. There was renting, buying, and pawn shops, I guess you could say. So ownership on two, non-ownership on one. Now, and there wasn't mobile at all. Isn't that what's even crazier? Like there was no mobile. You didn't even have a cell phone that would play games other than Snood or some shit, you know? And now you can grab a mobile phone and play a game that looks true. I'm not saying I would want to, by the way. But when I talk to all the people in the Discord who are super young, their ideas of playing games are dramatically different than mine. They are okay with a mobile game, or they are okay with, I'm not dissing on it because it does insane, but Roblox or Fortnite. It's taken me a long time to understand when I look at those games. I think I just caught up in the normal games, and then you miss what's behind you, right? It's almost like if you're maybe you're number 3 in a sport and you're fighting for number 1, it's pretty easy to not remember that 4, 5, 6, 7 through 10 exist. And then you do get there. Maybe you get that hiatus of time and you've played what you want to play, and you look behind you and you're like, whoa, there's a lot of games here and a lot of ways to experience them that snuck up on us. Luckily, because you and I do what we do, there's a tiny bit of a reason for us to check these out. Check them out, not even just because we want to, but, oh, hey, Jeremy wants to talk about Game Pass and subscriptions and PlayStation and Nintendo Online this weekend. You know, I've got $5. I'm going to go ahead and get a subscription to something. $5 is a lie. I don't know what it costs anymore. I don't know what PlayStation Plus costs. I paid for it, and I don't know if I've turned a game on. I pay for it purely for the
I think it's
the
around
channel.
$10 per month.
Is it $10?
The normal,
okay,
tier.
Okay, yeah. I should probably check that, but I keep it just in case something happens and I need it for the channel instead of trying to work through the subscription bullshit and a credit card. Last up. Oh, this is interesting. This is a good question, man. I mean, not the others were good. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Like that. This is the only good question we've got. No, this is a good question. Why do some big games like Final Fantasy Rebirth avoid Sony's spotlight and get showcased at a Nintendo Direct instead? Who chooses and how? Man, that must be like where they are, right? Like how far along they are. If they're not far along enough to be on a Sony one or a Nintendo one, they might do the other one. And then they probably get paid. Because on these smaller events, it makes more sense that, man, that's a good fucking question. I will ask because you know how the Game Awards, you pay to have your trailer, but at a Direct, right? That's a weird thing because that's the company wanting to shine their platform. So there might be money from them going to, you know what, because you're not going to do it for free. I'll ask. That's a very good question, man. The one guy on Telegram who didn't use his fucking username. I mean, it's numbers. Telegram's weird. Dude, that's a sweet question. That's really good. I'll check into it. I do know some developers in a Slack, a bunch of them, and they're from big companies and small. And I'll just ask openly if they have any clue. Because I know a couple of them have been on all the events. That's a very good question. What do you got for questions for Discord?
This one from Name Invalid, Carrick and Johnny. What are your comfort games? By that, I mean a game, regardless of age, that you come back to, be it for nostalgia it provides, memories it rekindles, or overall the love you have for it. Yeah, probably League for me. What about you? Division?
Well, I was trying to go with one that we didn't, just because. So we'll say my normal answer is Division. Okay, I'll give you an answer. This is honest truth. I just replayed them, and I'm going to replay them again, and it might be today, and I just replayed them last week. Life is Strange.
Damn.
My 17-year-old girl is coming out, man. I have no clue what's going on. I enjoyed playing Double Exposure, so I was like, I'm going to go back and play them, and I enjoyed them so much. I like the music. I love the music. I think their music choices, dude, those guys know how to take a commercial song and mix it with their own music. And there's True Colors, there's all that kind of stuff. People are saying things like Morrowind absolutely used to be premier for me, those kind of games, but I just don't have the time or the desire to play a game that looks like Morrowind anymore. Not to be rude, Morrowind has some of the best moments of exploration in it, but they no longer hit me where they used to. And I'm happy with that. I think there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, it was a sign of, it was great times to return to those, though. Super great. What else we got?
This one from, also you had here National Park Simulator.
Is that dude, yeah, let me talk about that. Yeah, I'm going to read these real quick, and then let's do National Park Simulator, because I did play it. I want to give them a little bit of shine here. Eternal says, Gamefly's kind of dumb not to track their game shipments, can easily get lost legitimately, or people lying about not receiving them. Bep says, Elden Ring, Debate, Nate TV, sorry, says Muso games are very comfort games. Oh, I can see that. Vapor says Morrowind. Jimbotron says mine is Terraria. Oregon says RimWorld and Terraria. Robert says The Sims and Age of Wonders 4. Fuck, I should have mentioned Age of Wonders. Dude, Age of Wonders 4 DLC is the most phenomenal DLC of a game I've ever seen. Did you see their new DLC is fucking mutant rabbits?
Oh,
Age of Wonders 4 is so good, it goes past good. It doesn't even make sense because their other DLCs for some of their other games have not been great. I swear to God, those guys said, we'll make you Age of Wonders 4, but you can't get in our shit because it's Paradox. You can't infect our shit. Like, we want to make what we want to make. And every goddamn DLC for Age of Wonders 4 has been mind-blowing. Like, when they add, dude, when they add a race, that race, again, you can do all the customizations. They show up later if they die and they become a elder race. It's crazy. And they've got rabbits. Oh, my God. The trailer and the picture is phenomenal. It's like...
I got to check that out. I have the base game.
Dude, I never wanted to have a furry, like, rabbit race as a main race. And there's not been a single fucking time where I have seen a DLC. I was talking to Absy about it. I was like, how is it humanly possible these guys nail this shit? They're in a way, they're like the other companies we talked about that nail the games, like a Capcom. They have some issues here or there, but overall, they're pretty solid. That's the way Age of Wonders and their DLC has been, except remove, they have issues. It's just like... It's insanity. I mean, every race they've added has been hilarious or weird. Even their vampire one, which, let's be honest, most of these games add a vampire race. You know, they're like,
eventually.
They turn that shit on its head. There's always something that's turned on its head to where you're like, what the fuck? I never thought about that. Speaking of never thought about, let's talk about National Park Simulator. So I got to play the demo, which I believe is out now or tomorrow. Maybe it's the 20th. But I got to play it, and it's pretty jank. It's pretty rough. However, it does have the simulator damned little hook. There's always a little bit more to do. You get one day as a national park ranger, basically. But some of the animations are rough. Like, you use a hammer to repair a park bench, and your guy's like a foot away from the park bench, and like, dude, seriously, like, it's not going to work. You're bad at hammering. They can fix that kind of stuff, but you start hammering stuff, you start picking up trash, you start fixing trails at this massive park. You get in a car, you can drive to other parts of the park. It's a pretty big park. But then you also check people's licenses for if they can camp and do shit in the park and where they can. I don't know anything about national parks certificates, but apparently they are restrictive as shit. This thing was like, you can go to the forest, but you can't go to the meadows. And I was like, is that real?
The heck?
Yeah.
Does it say that in my license?
Yeah. So the licenses are these different colors, and then they have expiration, and you have to check. Your job is to say, I need to see your permit for this park. And you're looking at the expiration date. Now, is it this massive thing? No, it is not. It's exactly what these simulator games are good at. They give you a little bit of everything. So you're touching what it would be like to do that. Then you go off and you spray paint arrows in the right places so that people know where to go. Then you go help a guy who's been hurt and he's lost in the woods, and you find him, and it'll be like, oh, I'm using ranger vision. So it colors the world like a little bit like a Predator for a second. You like look at the guy and you're all, he's dehydrated, he has a broken ankle. Helping him, not so cool. You basically say, I'm going to give you some water, and you just put your hand out, and then he pretends to, there's some
that's
leanness.
Where the depth is not really there yet.
That's where they need to fix the modeling. They need to have the stuff that meets you halfway fictionally and makes you go, okay, I can see that I'm, grabbing something. But I did like that you let him back. You're like, I'm going to lead you back. And then you call rescue, and you're like, hey, rescue needs to come pick this guy up. You're on the radio with him. And then at the end of the demo, this is so dumb, they give you a hat you can put on and off. And it's the ranger hat, right? The Smokey the Bear
the
hat.
big one?
Yeah.
Like the round?
And I got to tell you, I felt a sense of truth. It wasn't even hard. I put that thing on, and you could take it off again, which sounds so dumb because I don't know why you would. But I was like, oh, yeah, I'm fucking Ranger. Graphically, it looks phenomenal. Then you can also take pictures of things, and the game puts them on flyers to sell the park. So you'll go to like this massive lake and take a picture of the lake. And then they're like, thank you. We're going to use that for the flyer to get more people to come to the park. You take pictures of animals. You follow animals. The animals act differently if you're there or not, if they can see you. So if you sneak up on the animal, it'll do other things that it wouldn't do if you were there, which is like stare at you and try to eat you if it's a bear, whatever. There's a lot. There was not a lot.
Is the driving like free? The driving's on rails.
The driving's free, as in you can take the car into some places, but it's mostly the roads. But I will say this. I don't know how. The driving was really good. So I expected that to be shit. It's the first thing you see when you start the demo is a car. And I was like, okay, let's get in the car and see what happens. Because this is going to be dog shit. It's going to control like a rectangle. And I was driving going, it's got a little bit of a slide to it going around a corner too fast. But I was sitting there going, this actually works. This actually works. They got the basics in there. They do. They've got the basics. And if they fix the jankiness, the collision detection, maybe they add. So they have a mini game for every piece of equipment, which is, by the way, sort of awesome. So they have a Mobius strip for the hammer. And there's a tab here and a tab here at this Mobius strip. And it's going super fast. And you have to hit to hammer more. If you hit anywhere, he'll go like bank, bank. And it's going to take you an hour. But if you hit near those dots, you hammer more and you put it together faster. And then when you're sawing, it's just up and down on the analog stick. But I got to admit, it was 1 for 1, which was nice. So at the very top, you're at the very top. At the very bottom, you're very bottom. And I was just like, I'm sawing a log. And it just stupidly worked. So if they can hit the other stuff, the demos got those issues are going to definitely turn people off, which we've seen in a lot of simulator games. But at the same time, I look at it and I'm like, man, if you had somebody correct the animations there in some of those places, add some assets that I hand water to the guy, the things that I think we all sort of expect in a simulator game, which notoriously are actually pretty good for that. And this one is
a bit more interaction.
Yeah. But I got to admit, man, if it were as good as like a Thief Simulator or whatever, I'm going to spend a lot of hours in it. I don't know how long it's got to be made. This demo seems pretty early, seems pretty alpha. It's a free demo. I mean, whatever. You just go in, you play the demo.
And the demo is available.
And the demo's available on Steam. Yeah. But you got it, and the world looks amazing. That's why that dichotomy of not handing an asset to a character in a world that has like ray tracing in it, you're walking around going, man, this looks amazing. And the voices are bad. I will say that. Dude, I had characters where I was letting a character go and they're like, okay, fine. And I'm like, what the fuck? Why? What's with the attitude?
Someone's cousin on the weekend popped in for a voiceover.
Yeah, popped in and they were in a bad mood, right? And you're just like, dude, why did you respond like that? I just said you could go and you're free to explore the park. And like, whatever. I don't know. Maybe he was there with his wife and didn't want to, stick around. The Jostler, $5 super chat. Can we get another Snickers Dick Vein reference this week? You guys have a great track record. Thanks for giving me cardio podcast. Oh, you're doing cardio during this? That's sweet.
Banger.
Speaking of Snickers, man, I do have some, finally. But I've got the smaller Snickers, the average size, right? This is the average size. I
was going to say that for me is probably the normal size.
Have you ever got the giant? Have you ever got the Mandingo?
No.
Named after the porn star? That's what I'm calling it. But
oh my God.
It's like a donkey
It will never
honker.
be the same.
Dude, yeah. And especially if you've got that Snickers like this.
Oh.
No, but if you're biting into that Snickers and they're the big ones, you can't even get your mouth around the whole thing.
Wow.
None of that's actually sexual, by the way. You truly can't. It's that my wife bought me one for Christmas. I don't know. Maybe it was some kind of hint that I'm not.
I have to take a short toilet break.
Okay, go ahead.
But I'll still hear you, so I'll just be back.
Yeah, just don't wipe. It's fine. Anyway, yeah, Snickers are great, man. I love those. I still need to get back to Jurassic Evolution 3. Yeah, that one's good too. 3-hour cardio is the way to do it. Hopefully he is doing 3 hours. Dude, I love cardio. Dastardly Deagle says, do you eat them upside down so the vein touches your tongue? No, I do not. Shit. That's funny. I love me a Snickers. I don't know what to say, man. I'm addicted to them a little bit. I don't get them very often, but as a candy, I don't like candy bars at all, but I do like Snickers. Three Musketeers is good in a pinch as well. Yeah. Three Musketeers are pretty fucking good. They're sort of just air and caramel, like air, caramel, and a little bit of that. I can't remember the name of it, but they like confectionery kind of stuff. What's a good PS5 alternative controller? There is only one. Vader 5. Vader 5 works, I believe, on PS5. You can get the version I got the PC. Shit, I think it works on everything. You have to go check. But it's the one that I would say is the best controller I've ever used. And Power A controllers are good for cheap. They last a ton of time and they're insanely cheap, but they don't really have any extras. The Vader 5 is by far the first controller I've ever noticed a massive, massive improvement in my gameplaying ability. And I wasn't having an issue. Like, I just turned it on. I was like, whoa, man, I'm actually able to do more than I thought. It just feels good. Stick tension adjusters should be in every controller. I think it's not going to happen, but if you ever have for example, if you ever have a game that have you guys ever played a golf game where you push up and down to like hit the ball? And on a cheap controller with very little tension, it's very easy to go left and right. So if the golf game also has a little bit of curve, you can curve a ball without meaning to. This one's stick tensioners allow for you to adjust it with your thumb. So you can literally like go, I want it to be a very high tension, which means the up and down has a much higher chance of just being a smooth up and down like it should be. It's just it's got 6 buttons on the back. Well, it's got 2 buttons that are extra bumpers, which, by the way, are the best bumper buttons I've used. I don't even use the normal ones. And then it's got 4 buttons on the back, 2 that are, I guess you would say, ring finger. And then 2 that are middle finger, 2 that are ring finger. The ring finger ones can be removed. I don't know why people would, but you could. And those work amazingly well. You can do macros and stuff, which I don't do, but you can. And it's got gyro, which I also don't do, but trying. Will you ever do a tech review videos? Will you ever do tech review videos? If something interests me, sure. Right now, YouTube's dangerous as shit. And that's not me signaling for some kind of support. I mean, it is something I've noticed, especially last January when I started looking into it, all through last year, looking to now. If you're like me, who doesn't do very specific stuff that everybody else does, like a sponsor would, allow for me to ignore this. But right now, if you have a video go out that doesn't do as well, which a tech hardware video would not do near as well as like a review, the amount of hardship that can bring on you for the next game you want to review, where a company looks at your numbers and goes, "Oh, you're dropping off," and it's ridiculous. So I have to watch very closely. But there's some plans. I made a plan last night that I think I'm going to actually enact after I did a patron-only podcast a couple days ago and talked about some of it. The patron-only podcasts are a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, so that's sort of where I talk about some of this. But I've come up with, I think, a couple plans, and it's going to be extra work, so I'm looking at how to do it, but I think there'll be some changes. It won't necessarily be, oh, man, I'm going to have a bunch of extra money. It'll just be that some of these risks I might be able to take without having to worry so much. We'll just have to see. But I'll have to do some things I don't want to do, which is like I didn't even, I posted that we did the podcast on our main channel today. I haven't done that in so long. Like in so long. Because if I don't know why. And I'm definitely changing some stuff. Not only because Johnny's with me and it's not just me anymore. And it wasn't me with just Absy or Reg and those guys. But because back then there's less people involved who are making videos and stuff. It was easier to get away with. Now you got to fight. You got to fight even at my size. Eternal CMO says, I just wish I had better haptics and adaptive triggers, but it does the job. This is the Switch 2 Pro controller he's talking about. Damn, Johnny looks 10 pounds lighter. He was saying you were fat.
By the way, the comment about having the veins like down, so it touches your tongue is crazy. I've never, I got some Mars bars.
Mars are a little dark for me. They've got a bit of that dark chocolate, and I have some issues.
I think
with them.
they're also missing the crunch, right? Because they don't have any of the nuts, and so
anything without nuts is a waste.
I think so. You can pop some. Okay, really? That's not sure.
I did suck you into the discussion. Okay, anyway, we're done. Continue. Mars bars. You like those? And they're mini, right? They're pretty small.
This is I was going to show for size. This is the normal size of bar that I buy.
Yeah.
Which probably is pretty small for most people. I don't like a ton of sweets. That's like a good size for me.
You know what's funny?
But I never know.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I never know whether to put it in the fridge or leave it out. Especially these bars, because if you leave them out, they're like very soft.
Ew.
Right?
And then you get mad because you feel like you already have less material than a normal size candy bar, and now it's melted inside the bag. You could always put it in you could test 5 minutes in the fridge.
Take it out a bit.
Yeah, try one with 5 minutes and be like, okay, that's what I want from now on, or 10 or 15. Just don't put them in the fucking freezer. This is no matter what.
Dude.
Yeah, no matter what. What a disaster. But anyway, the hardware, I would say the Vader is the best controller. That's not me. I don't have it. I did an affiliate link finally after 22 people bought it from last podcast. 22. And I was like, holy shit. Because I didn't know. And I was like, when I heard people buying them, like, oh, everybody must have seen the same, I guess, Amazon. I just went to Amazon, so I don't know. I was like, oh, everybody must have seen the same ad. And I was in voice chat, and people were like, dude, it wasn't the voice. It was how excited you were about the controller. They're like, I bought a controller while you were talking about it. Like, I've never seen you that excited about a controller since like the old days. I should have done an affiliate link for that. It's the one thing I wouldn't have felt bad for. But
you were talking about doing some technical reviews. Is that something you would jump in review the controller?
I was saying I wouldn't, at least right now. There's some stuff. I'll talk to you about it. I literally was in bed last night and was like, okay. What, like, if you're not going to do sponsors in the way everybody else does, unless it's something that's like, I know Better Health has some issues. My wife's used them and been fine with them. She has been actually helper.
Yeah, I used them a bit too. Yeah, they were fine.
But I'll have to look. I like to look into the background of something that's not gaming related, maybe, or whatever. But I came up with an idea last night that I was like, oh, you know what? I think I should do that. I think you would do great with tech review videos.
I'll ask you about that.
Oh, no, the videos, I love doing them and people love them. They just don't do any views at all. And I was doing them when they were huge, not when there's 6,000 AIs that you're fighting against. Yeah, I appreciate that, though.
Yeah.
But now there's a huge change. It's rough. And it's rough. I mean, I don't even know sometimes. I'll have music playing in the background and it'll switch, or I'll listen to a podcast, or I'll switch to music and I'll be listening to it and I'll be like, huh. That was a weird song, like a little discordant, whatever. And then I'll look up and it'll be like AI music. Damn. And I've listened to it for 5 hours because it's just on the background. I'm like, oh, you know what? That's 5 hours. I can't also listen to Carrick's hardware review. So the amount of chaff that's out there is insane. But let's move on because we always talk about this. Let's talk about game shit. So moving on from there, what do we got for questions? We got any more from the Discordians?
Yes.
Let's do it.
This one from Yeti Money. What do you think about Bethesda's upcoming Starfield 2.0 and DLCs? Do you think this combined with the Fallout TV show hype will get people back into the game if they promise a more Fallout-like choice-based RPG experience with the PS5 release and 2.0? did I completely miss this? This big 2.0?
No, the 2.0 we've known about for a while, but it's not, man, 2.0 is a dangerous thing to say out loud.
Oh, yeah.
You know, because that's like, and I don't know what I want to say about that. I would say, I don't know if the stuff, I don't know if like the RPG choice thing is what people's issues who have issues with Starfield was. It was the landing, the loadings, things they had seen in other games not occurring, like a No Man's Sky, even though No Man's Sky's combat is terrible. And honestly, Starfield's is really good. It's the one thing I would say they did nail. I don't know. I will say every game that you've heard the majority, and the majority just happens to be a contender's console, say is terrible, has sold insanely well on the PlayStation. So if Starfield, and I don't know if Starfield will explode in the same way, but if Starfield exploded in the same way, you're still going to have people who don't like it for its very basics. I don't know, because people liked Morrowind, or they liked Forza. What are the other ones that went out on? Or I said Morrowind, I'm in Oblivion. The other ones, like Grounded. People liked Grounded. They didn't have the ire that Starfield had. So yeah. I don't know what 2.0. I don't know how people react to 2.0, but I do know that, like, yeah, I don't know. It's a good question, man. It's a good question.
What about the TV show? Do you see a link there?
No, I don't see a link there.
From the
show? I don't see it. If there was a Starfield TV show, for sure, but there isn't. So
yeah. Link is very tenuous.
That's tenuous. Yeah, that's pretty tenuous. If they did a Starfield show, would I watch it? Oh, fuck yeah. Number one, I love sci-fi. And number two, if they were able to somehow figure out a way to just do what they do in Fallout and have you experience the world through other people's eyes, Starfield, yeah, you could do awesome stuff. And same thing with Morrowind or Oblivion. If you wanted to, you could definitely do it. I don't know if it would have the same. Dude, Fallout's a different beast. Fallout isn't your generic fantasy like Oblivion. Nothing against Oblivion, but it's pretty generic fantasy. You look at Fallout, that mix of 1950, but in a post-apocalyptic world, that is weird. That's like
special.
1950s pulp fiction books, or pulp sci-fi books. I'm sorry. Yeah, that's a weird one, right? I mean, it's weird. It's just a weird thing. Somebody says it's bad to call it 2.0. I think I agree. I don't like the 1.0, 2.0 thing, because I think people will say, this isn't a 2.0. It doesn't change as much as I wanted. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, the comparison there with Cyberpunk 2.0.
Yeah.
Which admittedly was a very big rework.
And took way more money than most likely Bethesda is. I mean, the amount of gutting, and it also had more issues than Starfield. Starfield had stuff that bothered you, or maybe you thought it was bland, but it was like the least.
But you didn't
buggy.
have to remove the entire skill tree, or something.
Yeah, Cyberpunk didn't. Yeah, I mean the amount of
they replaced the entire.
They
skill,
replaced so much.
Yeah, and perks.
Yeah, but I hope so. I mean, I hope people play it. I want people to play it. I like Starfield enough. And with the patches and stuff, Starfield's very fun to also just run around. Speaking of a game I returned to, Starfield's definitely up there, for sure.
That's one thing that people complained about, right? Like the distance between points of interest. And they drew comparisons with other games where it was much closer for you to get from like A to B in terms of like 2 points of interest.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, is that a problem for you? Did you like that? Or do you think something like a better vehicle is what's missing there?
You mean when you're on the planet?
Yeah.
I might be the only person in the world. The only person. I'm not, obviously. But I like walking, and I like the sense of slow exploration. So the vehicle I own and I use for storage, and I'll mod it to look like, I've got one that looks like the Scooby-Doo van. But I like seeing something far away. What I would like to see them do is make those points of interest more interesting. Switch up the stylings, because we've seen mods that have, admittedly, they're pretty glitchy, many of the mods, but they adjust the point of interest to be more interesting and more varied. I would love to see that. And you probably don't need as many on a dead planet or a dead moon where you're like, there's a lot of radar stations on this dead moon. You know, like
yeah, why do we have 8 like 100 meters from each other?
You're gonna have to fictionize that, you know, like why is it there? I would like to see more of that kind of stuff. Like why is this do less, and then maybe there's a big cave/dungeon thing, and there's a reason for it to be there versus just sort of being there. But on the other hand, I mean, I played a shit ton of that, and you don't have to go to those. Like there's just, it's the same way with No Man's Sky. I love the exploration of No Man's Sky, but the number of things in No Man's Sky is stupid. You're like, dude, apparently this one ancient civilization put a fucking Coleman camp every 16 feet. You're just on a planet the size of Jupiter. You're like, what? And then you dig down in their shit. And what the fuck? How did they get into this? I'm the only one in this cave. How did like this thing get down here? So every game's got their idiosyncrasies, but I hope it does well. I hope they do well, and I hope they're rewarded for it. How about that? We'll return it. If they do well on their 2.0 and it pleases more people in whatever they're looking for, that's baller. That's what you want. That is, I mean, you want a game that's great day one. They're not all going to be. So if you look at the realism, that's what you want, is a company that's like, okay, we see what you're looking for. We're going to try to, you know, add these things. We'll see if it does.
But I agree with you that I don't put them with a Cyberpunk. You know, I thought it was a fine game day one. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, much more fun than Cyberpunk was day one.
Yeah, completely playable, you know. Some annoyances and stuff, but
you know, I don't know about you. I don't know how to do this because I've never really sat and thought about it. You and I should do a podcast where we just talk about this. The spaceship stuff in Starfield is almost there, but it's not.
It's almost
there. And I don't know what and somebody will say, oh, well, just fly around more or whatever. I don't think that's, I truly, the more I do mods and stuff and they add some of that kind of stuff, I'm like, that's not it. I think more impact by your characters. I think a more real lived in place. Also, you know, you still have collision detection with your NPCs and all that kind of stuff. There's something about the ships. It's close. I think combat is pretty lean in that game. And I think that death is pretty easy in that game too. Like the one thing I noticed about Starfield is you'll be fine. You'll face an enemy that's difficult.
Smoked.
Yes. And they're sometimes difficult to tell. There's no meandering. It's like, nope, that guy just blew, and all you see is your cargo parts go flying. You're like, all right, well, now I got to fly this other way and hope to God I can warp. Yeah. That is frustrating.
Yeah, I think on one hand, you had all these habitats.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but nothing really to do in them, right? Like you had no reason to walk in your ship.
Right. Yeah.
I think there was nothing really specific. So maybe if there was some functional utility for you to be in like specific
tangible
rooms and
bonuses.
do something.
Yeah.
And you would need to come up with cool shit, right? Not just, hey, I'm thirsty. I have to run to the fridge to pick up a water, right? That's like low-hanging fruit.
I just don't know if they'll do that, but I mean, you know, that would be cool. Yeah. But I agree with you fully. I think that's one of the things that isn't necessarily missing, but would be good there because other games don't have that. Many don't have that, and it still works.
Yeah.
So there's something there that's like,
because they try to create the water cooler moments where you can talk to people in the ships and they have comments about stuff that's going on.
They do.
But there's no reason for you to organically run into people.
Right.
So you're actually walking around in order to speak to people.
Versus
and only
going
if you're
to
hunting
that spot for a reason.
Yeah, only if you're hunting for that extra dialogue. Whereas if you had like some functional thing that made you go from A to B in your ship, like, oh, hey, I need to go, you know, do some maintenance on this thing.
So that's what I was just going to say, repair. If they could...
Repair is a really good one.
If they could build a repair and let me go outside the ship, because we know with mods that's possible. I have a mod that lets me go outside the ship and repair it. It's very basic.
Yeah.
That would be cool. If you saw some damage on your ship and you were able to
or
go out
there
and it was a mini game. Yeah. Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. I do wonder about, would it be better if you could kind of navigate the planets with the ship a little bit, so you can kind of drop down closer to where you exactly want to be?
Yeah, because it would definitely do the cell load where you wouldn't go exactly where you wanted to be. You'd sort of try to land and it'd be like, you can go near that spot. But they were also trying to make sure that ships made by a person, between a fighter and a destroyer level
and a
ship,
square, like some people just made a square
or a triangle, could land.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, I get that everybody wants everything, but almost no game gives everything. And by the way, No Man's Sky is a very good example of games.
And they gave a lot of freedom with the ship builder.
Yeah.
That thing could be,
dude, you could make
something insane.
Also, I like the ship builder's options. I do not like the ship builder's controls. And the arbitrary warnings where it'll be like, you have to test the ship, then you have a problem with the ship, and you're like, okay, but what's the problem? Because this looks like it should work.
Yeah, it looks completely fine, but
there's some arbitrary clip. Yeah, it's flagged for some, and you're like, and this is going to sound really stupid, but bear with me. I wouldn't want to see this, but just bear with me. If you had a person who was like, explaining to you why it's not okay, or a fictional reason why it's not okay, versus you just can't do this. And you're like, but why? I've got the money to do it. Why can't I just do it? Even if it did technical readouts and said this thing's going to break up the moment you try to take off with this many engines, or blah, blah. There's just, it's text, a lot of text. And I feel like we're in the future. And I think that dichotomy comes up now, Johnny, more than ever. You got voice to text. You have AI, which sounds like me, got over 100 channels pretending to be me on YouTube. And that's just that I know of, and I'm a super small podunk YouTuber. What about these big guys, right? How many are faking them? And yet you play these games that are in the future that don't meet, they're still all readouts, you know? It's like, there should be more voices.
So like, again, I don't have a good dynamic explanation of why this piece didn't work here.
Exactly.
As opposed to your canned general response, you know? Yeah, that stuff is sorely lacking. Not only in that game.
Yeah, in every
game. I mean, that's just, hey, we need to start seeing that.
Yep, we do. What else we got for questions?
This one from Gek Sunrise. With the recent news on the new CEO at Remedy, and with the sales on their games being as unfortunately disappointing as they've been, where do you see Remedy going after Control Resonant and the Max Payne remakes? Are the sales of their biggest make or break moment? Sorry, I read that wrong. Are the sales of these their biggest make or break moment? Or is there a reasonable path forward if these are also underperforming?
Yeah, I think they're hugely make or break. Especially when you look at that CEO who's now there and his history.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe he's got the we'll wait and see, but if they don't do this, I'm going to enact this kind of thing to keep us alive. To keep us alive. It has nothing to do with like we want to keep us as a company, because their games are great. I love their games, but they just don't sell well right away. They just don't, man. I mean, I don't know. Like, no one knows. If we knew, they'd fix it. It just, that's not what happens. You have people talking about Alan Wake for hours when Alan Wake 2 came out. And you'd query the group. And of the 8 people excited, 1 was buying it. And you're like, well, that is weird.
Yeah.
They have the...
Man.
They need to talk to Rory and be like, dude, can you figure out a way to like...
True.
How do we like get somebody past liking to buying, especially when it's in a world where it's not expensive?
Everybody would say they have good product. You know, their games are generally good.
Yeah.
But then there's something not clicking there.
Dude, even their fans don't buy them.
Maybe not Firebreak. Firebreak definitely.
Well, maybe not Firebreak.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're make or break, I think, for sure. I mean, they wrote off Firebreak, and they made money on Control better than they have in the past. Alan Wake's made money. They stated very clearly, Epic, without Epic, there wouldn't even be an Alan Wake 2. So, you know, are we going to see that kind of situation where they're getting money from companies, which I'm going to tell you, honestly, do I love it? No. Would I rather have that than Remedy not make a game again? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
would.
any day of the week.
Any day of the week and twice on
Yeah.
Sunday. I mean, dude, that's ridiculous. The moralizing while not being in the same position as somebody else that occurs in games is pretty crazy. So yeah, I would love to see them do well. And I think Max Payne, that might be the place. The problem is those games have been remade. Like, I don't know how much they've cost to make. It feels like Remedy also takes a long time, which eats up their finances. They take a long time to release stuff. Like a long time. I feel
That's
like
probably a big part of it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. A full year of pain. Let's say you plan on June and then you decide we're going to do February of the next year. It may only be 6-7 months, but holy Christ, that's everybody being paid.
Millions of dollars?
For sure.
Because they got many software engineers full time.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Many millions, I bet. Because just looking at wages of an average low end, you're like, oh, damn. Like, let's say something low. Like 40,000.
Think like $100K yearly
I'm saying
for a software
low.
engineer?
Yes, it would be that. But I'm saying even if you took 40,000 and you have 100 people, Merry Christmas, bud.
Oh, yeah. Adds up.
And they have more and more. Like, they have more, they pay more, and they have more than what I just said. So you're just like, oh, yeah, and that's per month. Not the 40,000. But it's per month where they're paying these people more and more, and paying insurance, health insurances, whatever, depending on where they are, Dude, yeah. And cross my fingers, man. I hope every game's. I'm not super interested in the remakes of Max Payne unless they fix the controls from the old games, and we'll just have to see. But I hope they do a good job. They deliver what people want, and they they do well. I like them a lot. But boy, I wish you could sit down and see why it takes them so long.
That's true. If you could break it down. Explain to me like I'm 5. Why are we taking 8 years to release a game?
And they have bad luck too. Well, not bad luck, but did you ever watch I don't know if you've seen this, but there's some GDCs as well as some really cool documentaries on why Alan Wake 1 took so long. And it was because they basically went from open world and they were like, woo, that's not going to work. We're going to snip the world.
I remember that.
Because you and I talked about it too. And that is only done once. The rest of the times they went the other way, where they build the world and then they add to it. And I think the adding is what costs. Well, I don't think. I know. You're adding something, you're building something, which costs more than the open world that you snip into sections. But weirdly enough, when you play 2 versus 1, the huge gap in 2 and the enjoyment I felt for 2, which was a good deal less than 1, was because 1 let you look around the game world from certain places because it was an open world engine. And you could see where you just were. And there's something
it all made
magical,
sense.
Johnny. Yes.
Geographically.
It's so magical to be at like the radio station and look down and see the hill that you had climbed 4 hours prior and had a battle on and go, I know that is right here in this world. And you can't fake that. You can try to fake it, but it doesn't always, it works sometimes, but it doesn't always work. Yeah,
I agree, because that's part of your journey visually throughout the game too. Because you keep hearing, okay, we're going from here to here, the park, blah blah blah, and then in Alan Wake 2, it's like, fuck knows where I am.
Alan Wake 2, which I liked, very much felt like a horror transporter simulator, where I was just teleporting. Or
like, okay, we're here now.
I said transporting, I meant teleporting, but like teleporting from spot to spot to spot to spot to spot, and you were just like, okay, I don't even know where this exists in the world compared to the other place. For example, the town. I don't even, in my brain, I'm sure there's a map, but it's not the same thing. I don't even know where the town is compared to the other places in the forest I went. Like in the world, like if you look down from the top, like, oh, it's over here, and there's a road there.
Yeah. But is it the same state?
Yeah.
Speaking American terms, like
is it the same state? Bep says, if only they had some shitty mobile game like Monopoly where they would never have to worry about money again. I agree with that. Guys, look.
True. They need a Candy Crush.
Look at Fallout Shelter. I don't know how the micros work or if there's any or what that does, but if you can figure out a way to do a Fallout Shelter that's good.
Get a little bit of a cash cow on the side.
Yeah, and make the people feel like they're getting, they're enjoying it, but there's something cool that they can get in there. And that remove a little of that. Dude, it must be hard. They're never going to admit it. I mean, maybe they would.
Because the onus is now completely on this dev team, right? On this like next project.
And they talked about it before. The reason why they went with Epic was money was one, but also just the grind of trying to consistently fight just every day, you know. And I think we celebrate people who fight. We celebrate people who succeed after fighting. But every fighter needs a break. Every single, you know, that's why some fighters will.
When every battle is your most important battle ever,
it's like Dark Souls of game development, man. When you're like, no matter
it's
what,
like you died.
Yeah, you died, and you get a little. Maybe somebody comes in, an angel investor, and gives you a little SS flask, and you drink it, and your life's a little higher for now, and you got a little bit more money for developing.
Off to the races.
Somebody decides to leave, which is like getting hit, and you thought you could dodge it, but the guy, you were like, I wonder if he wants to leave. He leaves, and you're like, and that's like that hit from the boss.
He hit you through the wall.
Yeah.
You're done.
Yeah. A good example. This is Necro saying a good example is Shift Up. Nikki basically funding their big games like Stellar Blade with what?
Yeah. So Nikki is a mobile game that the people who did Stellar Blade.
Okay.
That was like the prior game they had done, which was kind of the surprising thing. You know, they went from a mobile game to Stellar Blade, which was, well, honestly, a stellar game. You know, like
Stellar Blade's pretty good.
In its own right, as a PC game or as a console game first and then PC.
I think if you are a smart developer, and I don't mean smart like they're dumb, I just mean smart on top of things, you almost every developer should augment with a mobile title that is good. You know, you're attempting to make a good mobile title, but you're like, can we augment? And they don't all have to be cash cows either. They can just be good tidings. You know, money is one thing, but it's usually one thing. And so if you get paid so for example, the same thing happens with Patreon. Somebody say, what's best, a donation or Patreon or view? And I'm like, well, if you look at it from financial, one patron is worth 5,000 views. So a single $5 patron is 5,000. And then you look at, because that's how low you get paid for views, right? But a person who views may not view the next one. A person who subscribes may subscribe for multiple times. And so it compounds. And people just don't think of the compounding part. And they also don't think of the good tidings and the other opportunities. For example, a person in a Discord has opportunities to like more or dislike more, but like more, get more. And with mobile, it's not that they're the same gamers all the time, but if you do like a mobile, like Game Dev Story, I like Kirasoft, I like their stuff. So if they do a Steam game, then there's a higher chance just from experience of me saying, oh, interesting, they're doing a game on Steam. Yeah. Maybe I'll check that. It's just more opportunity for somebody to continue to like more of your stuff if you hit it on. And mobile's huge. I mean, it's just, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Crazy.
Yeah.
You might be onto something there.
Gunnar Blade. Wait a minute. What does Gunnar even mean right now? What's the current
basically day? someone masturbating. So it would be like,
really?
You're gooning to,
So it's gone from being a stan or being a anime, like whatever, you like anime girls, to goon, which is mean you're taking a physical action because you like anime girls.
Yeah. Which we know it's not the case for the game because a lot of people, like, despite her being attractive, I don't think a lot of people like would actually masturbate to a video game character. A lot of us just play the game, enjoy it, and
Yeah. I mean, we live in weird times.
It's an odd one. Yeah. But it's a little bit like slop. It's become one of those terms for everything. So if there is an attractive lady, it's now gooner material.
Sure. Do you know what else it is too? It's pretty smart, but TikTokers and YouTubers, I've seen it with my own two little googly eyes. I've seen them talking about trying to get a slang word to catch on by saying it in one stream and then you say it in a stream too. Because that can make you explode. Because
repetition.
If I make up a word, you know, and then you're saying it, and I got somebody else to say it, they'll be like, "Oh, where'd that come from?" You look it up. So it'll show that the podcast somebody said it. What does this mean, dude? It's all connected, man. It's all the web. It's all a web of lies. Yeah, I'm absolutely sure that somebody just randomly was like mixed two words up. Gooner. All right, there we go. And became a thing. It was probably based on boomer shooter. And somebody's like, well, then what is it when a chick's hot? Oh, that's a gooner because you like a goon. Yeah,
it's so just stupid. The age of memes where one meme is a catch-all for 20,000 things. Yeah.
What else do we got for questions?
You had in here Mugenics, and I played this as well. Have you had a chance to?
Mugenics and Baby Trading Simulator are the two games that are on my list to buy. I haven't got a chance to play either one.
Sorry, the second one is a real game?
Bro. It's one of the most genius games I've ever seen. You literally buy and sell babies like they're stock, and you bet, and you can short them or put them for long if they'll make more or be worth more.
Oh my God.
And they'll die. Like one of the craziest ones is somebody was like, yeah, this baby was doing good. They were learning skills, blah, 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 but they drank Drano and died. It is definitely in the Mugenics dark humor, but it's aliens. A lot of them are, you can get robot babies like baby cyborgs, and you can buy and sell them and trade them on the stock market. It is phenomenal. Solar was streaming it in chat about 5 weeks ago, the demo, but it's out.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. Game is amazing. Yeah, amazing. But Mugenics also sweet as hell looking. I've seen people stream it. It looks so fun, but I just haven't had a chance. Did you play it?
Yeah, awesome game. Yeah, I've played it. It's XCOM meets Darkest Dungeon.
Meets cats.
In like one sentence. Meets cats. And your cats develop mutations. So, you take them out on an adventure, and there's a chance they will develop a mutation throughout that experience. Like, for example, a friend of mine, his cat got cancer. And funny enough, that causes the cat to lose stats after every battle. But they also gain a mutation after every battle. So he had this specimen at the end of the run with just a ton of mutations. And then what happened is it reproduced after, so it survived the expedition. And it was retired, so it was no longer doing runs, but it could reproduce. So now some of these kids have weird-ass mutations.
That's awesome.
Being carried over. It's absolutely awesome. And it's one of those, it's the Binding of Isaac guy.
Yeah.
So his whole shtick is, he's building a super deep game, right? So the more time you put into it, the more you're going to get. And it just, like, when you think you've figured out what the game is offering, it's got a whole new layer that opens up, once you get to a certain point, for example. So it just keeps kind of developing more and more. It's very cool. And I don't know what to say about the art style. It's his very... He has a way of making something that looks genuinely bad look funny, charming. At least for me, I think this is highly subjective, right? But it is very funny to me how some of these look. Like some of the cats are so fucked up. They got a smile, like they got the little smiley, cat smiley, but they're like an aberration.
I'll tell you a trick and pull it off on this game because I was telling it to Spetsu. So on any art that's really questionably odd, take a picture, get the screenshot, and then take your hands like this and try to fit the item just in that square. And if it's parsable, it's probably good enough. And if it's not, and it needs the background to sell itself, it's probably not good enough. And boy, does that fucking game come close. Because he posted a picture that was already cropped. And it was a disaster of, I mean, like it looked like the mouth wasn't in the wrong place. It just looked like it because without lines, without the ability to parse how big something is, because, you know, another cat would have helped. So you could go, okay, you couldn't tell. And it was such an interesting discussion about art because I was like, that's a mess. That's a fucking mess when you do that, when you do the typical little trick. But as a whole, the world looks the same way. You know, the world is a trash bin. It looks terrible. It's beat up. It's like you're in alleyways. You're in this, you know, decrepit city. So, and it all works out quite well. Also, it reminds me of South Park in the idea that the fiction of a lot of the spells are either D&D or based on cats. So like you have a summon that is a flea. I hope they have ticks. That's what I said in the preview, because I think that would be hilarious to like throw a tick down, have the tick drain the blood of another cat or whatever.
Yeah.
But the summons being like D&D, remember in South Park, you had vomit powers instead of like fire, wind, and you know, it did that switch off. He does a really good job.
There are some of those things. For example, one of my cats had diarrhea.
Yeah, there you go.
And what that meant in game is that at the end of every turn, it would like shoot a projectile from its ass. So if you happen to have another one of your cats behind the cat, they would take damage, right? Mm-hmm. But you could use it offensively too. So you could like on purpose have your ass facing an enemy and then shoot at the end of your turn. That's awesome. Just one example. They got basic elemental stuff from D&D as well. Like, you know, if they're wet and you do lightning, do more damage. If they're frozen and you shoot fire, they melt, and the opposite interaction. So those things are in there. And a lot of times, if there is some weird interaction you think might be there, it's probably in there. There's a lot of these that you can discover.
I like how it'll be like, you know, Schumer wants to bang Bob and Bob's not into it. You know, because some cats won't want to breed with others. But yeah, very cool. I mean, it was a super deep game. Even when I was checking the previews, he didn't have a lot of footage, but I was like just reading up on it. You're like, oh, damn. And I think when you look at that kind of stuff, that's a good place where you can see those kind of things, is the South Park idea, which is you take the fiction and you don't just attach the same shit we've seen 100 times, you know, just electricity. You can still do that. But why does the cat have electricity? I'm not saying they do that in this game, but I'm saying the more you can meet the player halfway, the better it is. Like, does the cat, you know, does its shock collar, did they flip it outwards so now it shocks enemies if they grapple them? That would be amazing, because you would be like, holy shit, I've seen a cat get shocked with a shock collar, or a dog. That's an amazing weapon. Like the fleas, I remember seeing the summon of the fleas, and I was like, there you go. That's exactly what we need.
Yeah, that's cool.
Even if you still do the normal stuff.
Yeah. You equip stuff and then you see it on the cat.
Yeah.
Right? So you get like a hat, you put it on, it's on the cat.
Don't they have collars that are the class?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's awesome.
They get the class. Yeah.
That's cool.
Pretty cool.
I love the idea of that. There was a game that didn't come out that was about a gen ago that was... All I know about it was some stuff the developer sent me, but they had the idea that basically it was old Western, but sort of like Desperados, and everybody's belt buckle was their class. So if you were like a typical Texaner with a giant belt buckle, it was your shield and it would do less damage to you, you know, all this kind of stuff. I like those little things. Like the collars being the classes is awesome. Like that, because it fits. It's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It doesn't, but it does. Like if a cat had a spiked collar, be like, all right, well, that's your, you know, either your defender cat or your brawler cat, because they've got a spiked collar. Like all that kind of stuff fits. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How much is that? 20? 20? 30? No. That was more than 20, wasn't it? Wasn't that more in the 40? I think somebody told me that. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I thought somebody told me that was 40. Not that I have a problem with that.
It's 22.50 pounds.
Well, we're 30 bucks then, probably. Knowing I got to pay you today, and I'm just dreading it. I got to see what your
the conversion.
Your
Come
fucking
on.
Conversion. It's crazy. Man.
You guys gotta bring up the dollar, man.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I got some S&P stocks, so.
Oh yeah.
Keep working it.
Yeah.
You know,
I haven't checked my stocks in ages. I usually just let them sit there and then hope that
I
when
let
I
them
sign
sit.
in,
dude.
When I
yeah.
sign in, I'm
I
hoping
love.
it's up.
Yeah. Do you just go back in to check like every year or so?
Yeah, I mean, I have a warning or two that'll pop off if something really bad happened, but for the most, or I'll put in a sale at a really low amount to like get some principal out, but
buy extra
or buy extra. Yeah, but most of the time I'm just like, I just let it ride.
Yeah, I don't adjust at all to market. Like I'm not looking. Ooh, should I be buying more now? Like less. I'm just trusting the system, man.
Yeah, it's not called.
That thing
it's
is
not
just
called
buying
winning
every month.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just buying every month, and I completely believe in the U.S. economy in the long run.
Oh, do you know what I believe in? I believe in tertiary equipment for stuff. Never, ever, 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 ever buying on the main company. So I did pot lights instead of, because, well, number one, I'm pretty chaste and pretty like, I guess you could say like anti-ultra. And I was like, I don't want to invest in a pot company, but I will invest in grow lights. So I was like, because they all need that. And that way I didn't have to worry about some guy, fucking over a company. But it was like, this is the one piece of equipment they probably all need, until somebody comes up with a pot light that doesn't need.
That makes sense.
Or, sorry, marijuana that doesn't need light. And then I'd be like, bought that the wrong way. Yeah, dude, it's all, I personally think it's just savings accounts, stuff like that. Some way you can get, retirements. Those are your way to go. The other stuff is basically like never, ever spend anything that you just assume it's lost.
Assume it's lost.
Assume it's
or
lost.
Like you're doing it for fun, maybe.
Yeah.
You just want to have a crack.
Yeah, it's such a volatile, even in the non-volatile parts, there are people who go bankrupt all the time. That's how you know it's bad. When the so let's say stock market's doing well, your NASDAQ, all those things are doing well, and you still hear about bankruptcies all the time. It's like, well, wait a minute. Yeah, it's because it's not
maybe
it's
not bankrupt,
winning.
but you could buy a bunch of like Microsoft, and then they have a bad year, and you lose,
Look what happened with
$5,000.
NVIDIA. A bunch of people, NVIDIA was doing well. People held off, finally bought into it, and DeepSeek got released, and they lost like $40 billion in one day.
Damn.
And now, did it go back up? If it's going back up. I don't remember what it is now.
Yeah, it goes
but
back up.
You always get the people who wait too long too. What else do we got for questions?
This one from Arclight Step. What features from the original God of War trilogy are you hoping will be changed in the remake? Okay, camera. They had fixed camera. That's got to go. No more fixed camera in 2026.
Same. Camera.
Yeah.
The rest is just improvement.
The rest was pretty solid.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously graphics will be better, but
hopefully. No, I'm just joking. Any other?
We got a few more.
Go for
we can
it.
speed run through these. Knucklehead says, my most anticipated game from the Sony State of Play are Crimson Moon and Star Wars Galactic Racer. Odd picks, but they both look awesome to me. Crimson Moon nailed the Doom aesthetic with the music. Yeah, the music was good. And the combat looked like it's going to have real impact. The Racer looks like really fun. Didn't even realize a Star Wars licensed game until the guy said the Carbonite line. Cool. Have a good weekend. Cheers. Yeah, so
good
most
choices.
anticipated Chicken Game? Chicken Guy?
For us? Probably Chicken Guy. Yeah, Chicken
Guy.
Cock of War.
Cock of War. Well, yeah.
Yeah, probably.
We'll call it that from now on. Captain Bacardi says, what video game character would be the worst roommate? The worst roommate and why? Worst comparison. Worst companion is okay too, because it's Valentine's Day.
That fucking cat in Persona 5. Without even a shadow of a doubt, without any thought process, that controlling ass, almost Nazi cat.
Time to bed.
You did two things. You had like a water and you took a piss, and you'd be like, I'd like to read a book, and it's like, you're too tired. I'm a bitch. I'll tell you when I'm fucking tired. And the only thing I'm tired of is you. Yeah, that cat. I hate that. I hate that goddamn thing. I legitimately hate that cat. I didn't like even when it showed up. There's some RPGs I play where I'm like, you don't like that one character or whatever, but I don't really hate I mean, I would say Mary Jane and Spider-Man, and this is not me doing the typical thing of Spider-Man. I really do not feel the Mary Jane playable sections in Spider-Man were good.
She was genuinely a manipulative person and like obnoxious.
I don't know if that's writing. Can't
like
say if it
toxic.
if it was poor writing or if it was whatever, but I would say as I absolutely would never want to be in the same room as somebody like that.
Agreed.
Ever.
That's the best one. Let's just settle on that one.
Okay. I feel very comfortable settling with that one because okay, let me tell you how bad it is. I have frequently played both Spider-Man game until she shows up and becomes more involved in the story.
And it's not even like the action, to me, it's not even the action segments, which are terrible. All of her action.
But it's just.
But the way she talks to Peter as well, it's very manipulative. And to me, that's just nope.
It is not me, it's you. Right? That's what you want to, like, you sit down at a diner, they sit down, you break up with them, and they're like, is it me? And you're like,
always been you.
It is for sure. It's always been you. You are
thin line between a strong personality and a toxic person, and you cross it.
She is a callous, cold sore, canker sore of a human, and I fucking despise that character.
Oh my God.
Okay, we can move on.
Anyway, this one from Get Tricky. For every state of play, I'm just hoping for a port to the Killzone, Resistance, and SOCOM games.
Oh.
Hopes and prayers.
Yeah, Killzone. What was the last one?
Yeah.
Wasn't Resistance, was it? Killzone, the PlayStation 4 launch title. I can't remember. But anyway, Killzone, I like myself a sci-fi shooter. So I would love to see a Killzone. And Resistance, she's got a couple. She's got a couple.
It also sounds a bit like a
Mary Jane. Jesus. Anyway, continue.
Oh, God. Killzone sounds a bit like Calzone.
Killzone sounds like the area around her when you have to talk. That's the Killzone. Mary Jane's Killzone is about whatever her voice can carry.
It's a blast radius.
I'm just joking. Go ahead. What were you saying?
This one from Kel. What crazy ass job title would you love to have? Coach insurance salesman, International Space Station window washer, combat accountant. The only limit is your imagination.
Wait, he says that we want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you were thinking like vomit cleaner.
The word prolapse popped into my head, and I was getting ready to get.
God, dude.
Yeah, I was like, well, I can tell you what I don't want. Okay. What would be? Well, I wouldn't want a space station window washer either. That's a one-way ticket to death. No, I'm not even saying that out loud. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of dirty stuff that's popping in my mind. I'm trying to think of even a non-dirty one.
Okay. What, you want to be the help guy to Tory Black?
It was on those lines, but it wasn't a help guy. I'm just not even going there. Yeah. I was going to say something like current day money tester or whatever, like trying to do money, but that's such a weird question. I don't know, like what I would like. I mean, I know. Yeah. I maybe we'll have to roll back to that question next week.
Okay.
Because I don't
have
anything that is not
give it
super
some thought.
dirty.
We'll give it some thought, and we'll come back to you next week.
Is a sewer. Got it. It's way worse than a sewer. If you could check out a sewer and dig below it, and then get an oil rig and dig below that, you might
spawn in Carrick's mind.
The moment he said it, when he said, what is it? If you don't want it, I had one instantly. And if you do want it, I had one instantly. And neither can be said even close to on YouTube. So.
Oh, man. Okay.
Anyway, what
Last
else?
one from Redemption. Happy Friday, gents. Bit of a philosophical one. Do you see the games industry leveling out over time, especially with the influx of really amazing games causing studios to shut down? Do you think over time, revisiting games in our backlog can retroactively help persons who have been affected by layoffs or companies that didn't hit initial sales targets? e.g., how some music does better over time on streaming services versus traditional sales model, or making evergreen YouTube content could get bigger later. Is that sustainable or wishful thinking people will buy your game later? Good question. I think you would never want to develop for the prospect of like people playing your game later.
Exactly.
Because that not only is it not a given, but it's unlikely.
It's highly unlikely.
You know? You're betting on being the one game Asmongold plays that then becomes like viral or whatever. So that's unlikely. If that becomes more of a thing, that could, that could become a way people experience games. But I do think that's mostly wishful thinking, sadly.
I can tell you from the evergreen thing, too, you can have a video that catches on later for sure. But let me tell you the same thing that any developer would tell you if it comes to, would you rather have your game do well day one or really well later? Really well later almost always means less money because it's on a sale, right? Almost always. But evergreen for sure means that, because what they don't tell you about evergreen stuff is it's going to run different ads than it would have ran day one. So if you've got these ads set up that are, and by the way, it's not going to be linking to new stuff because you probably didn't have different links in it. You don't know if it's going to be evergreen. So that means you'll have a link to like old shit. It's not going to spread the same way. Honestly, if you told me I could have videos do 3/4 as good day one, and just go, or that full amount that they could arbitrarily go half a year later, even, no way would I choose to wait 6 months.
Really?
You don't even have the ability to make a sound financial plan. It would be completely unsound. It would be ESP of a financial plan. You wouldn't even be able to figure out it. You can't bet on evergreen.
You can't plan for views trickling in on your Dragon Ball Z video years after.
Yeah,
that just happened to occur. That's not a business plan.
Yeah, it's definitely not a good plan. And it's not a good plan now, and it's probably less of a good plan every minute of every single day, every second of every day as we continue.
It becomes increasingly a worse plan.
It does, and it compounds probably daily, because every day there's probably another 10,000 YouTube channels. I don't know what the numbers are on that, but that would not surprise me. Like, it's ridiculous, especially if a person can make. I know we saw Bot, the Claw Bot, the one that everybody's basically installing on their phones, which is, it's as close to a malware that you purposely install yourself as humanly possible in today's day and age. It is ridiculous if you have that installed on your system. So those people are using them to make YouTube channels. Just ad infinitum. Like, just absolutely. YouTube channel after YouTube channel. Slightly adjust your AI music, make a whole other YouTube channel, slightly adjust the sound of rain. You have 55 sleeping channels. Currently, I know of one YouTuber who's probably got 200 channels. And the only way I'm not going to. There's certain ways you can tell by audio checking and see if they're using the same sample. There's certain things, but you start looking,
the source was the same.
Yeah, there's a couple things, like a little tick in a YouTube. You're like, okay, that's only on this person. It's on no other one. It's only on this one person's audio of rain. There's certain things you can do to check that and be somewhat concrete in the idea that it's them. Yeah, man, I wouldn't want to wait for shit.
Yeah, because also if a video doesn't do well today, it also impacts the next video you're going to make.
Yeah. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
And not only, so that goes for videos, because YouTube then won't push the next video as much if your prior sucked.
It absolutely won't.
But then for games, it's kind of similar, because if you release a bad game that's bad year one, for all of that year, the perception of your studio is that game. Yeah. So like the next game you release is going to suffer for that too.
And unless we have a time travel box that you can put your fucking head in and not die from, you'll never know if your game would have done just as
Like
well
the-
and better if it had been good day one. So
the fuckers who said, Arc Raiders needed to get more voice actors because it ended up doing
dude, the
well.
time travel bullshit. Yeah, that was.
It was crazy.
I swear to God, that person had to have. It wasn't even AI, but they couldn't have been thinking when they wrote that article.
Yeah.
Now
They
that you
didn't
have
think it
done
through.
well, why didn't you originally have non-AI? I was just like, who wrote that? And that's one of the reasons why you do hear me push back sometimes when somebody says, well, there's this slop or that slop. And I'm like, there's human slop. There's examples of it right there. That's human slop. Like I don't know how that was even said out loud without the person going, wait, what? Or you'll hear people say, oh, no, they've got editors, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, then that editor should be fired. Like that literally makes no sense.
Yep.
And it's also attacking a company that was very clear about what they're using it for. So if you have an issue with it, that's one thing. But if you're basically, it's almost like, you ever seen a group of people? Might not be something you've experienced, but it's definitely something I experienced in American schools. So I don't know if you experienced this, but a lot of times bullies don't get shit. They graduate and still don't get in trouble. Like it's just sort of, unfortunately, a rule of life where a lot of times people don't get the comeuppance that everybody believes. Everybody believes Rocky Balboa is a true story and everybody gets their comeuppance at some point, or that Mr. T gets knocked out. It's not what happens. But what you occasionally will see, though, is that people will be not attacking something that needs to be, and then somebody will either have the balls to do it or whatever, and then everybody's on it, right? Like it's almost like they use that platform to jump on something. But then what's sort of the hidden truth about humans is that a lot of times the people doing that attacking become worse than whatever it is they're going after. And they become bullies in and of themselves. And I have seen that firsthand. And I'm sure everybody's done it firsthand. I mean, because we're humans, we make those mistakes. You can follow a pattern for how long and still fuck up a punch. It happens all the time. You'd be like, yeah, I know exactly what I'm doing. I've been doing this for 20. What the fuck? How did I hit myself in the face with a door? I've been opening doors for like 16 years. How did that happen? It's because we're human. But yeah, so there's a lot of weird shit where you see that kind of stuff and you're like, dude, what the fuck are they doing? Like, look back on yourselves sometimes, but doesn't seem to be a thing people are interested in right now. It's weird. Vapor says, true, in school, that renegade bully in school goes on to become a lawful bully. True. In fact, I'm going to be honest, man. Well, he's passed away now, but there was a guy that was pretty close to a bully in our school. He was a bully, and he's not the one I've talked about. He's not that guy, but he was a bully, and he's one of the greatest guys I've met since. But
Damn, really?
Yeah. I don't know what happened. I've never heard that he got a comeuppance at all. He probably did what many of us do over time. You just slowly mature.
Some personal growth.
But he's sort of anti-bully now, I would say, in a way. Not too far, because you could be too far, too, and become like woke, I guess would be the proper term. But that doesn't really work in this instance because nobody really wants a bully anywhere. So I don't know if you can really become woke. Yeah, you can become woke about bullying by I don't know if you heard this, but there was an interview. They were talking about one school where if he did something wrong. Oh, it was Theo Vaughn was saying in his school, if you got in a fight, you had to hug each other for like 5 minutes. And I'm like,
oh my God,
what the fuck? Like that's
terrible. That's making it worse.
Weird.
Actually.
Yeah, that makes me think whoever made him do that was like taking photos, man. That was creepy. But,
double check if they're like taking a photo under the under the table.
Yeah, that's some weird shit. But I had a bully in school, but we became friendly much later after. Oh, you mean he was your bully in school? Oh, I see. Yeah, that's happened too. I mean, it's school. Kids are kids, man. You can't, dude. There's a reason why if you're under a certain age and you do some things, some nations will be like, yeah, kid's 15 or 16, the brain hasn't really turned on. We're gonna let him get away with some stuff. I don't think murder should be that way. But if somebody does something stupid, speeding, drunk driving, well, drunk driving, you have other things to deal with. But there's a lot of stuff people do when they're young that I'm like, yeah, that's probably just being, we have to admit kids are kids, man. Their brains ain't working,
Yeah.
At least mine wasn't, and nobody I knew was. So, like, I don't know. Maybe there's other schools where everybody's
that's a
super
tough
smart
one,
at
because
7.
those years are very like formative. So if you spend 2 years being bullied, like I had a pretty bad bully
Did
for
ya?
a couple years. Yeah. And like there's nothing people can say to you that will give you perspective of like, hey, it's just like a bad year
Exactly.
or two.
Yeah. You
Now
are
I
living
see
it.
in the
It
long
doesn't
run,
matter.
I just moved on to better things and I'm good. But back then that seemed the biggest thing in my life, So yeah, it's just tough, man. In the moment it's tough.
Yeah. And that's why, like, if I deal with somebody who's sick and they've got an illness or something like that, that's like what I've had or whatever, I won't usually be like, well, I've been there and you can get through it, because I also think fake platitudes are one of the worst things ever.
Yeah, in that moment.
Oh, dude, it doesn't work.
That's probably I guess they want to hear sympathy, right? More than
No, most of the people I know, I'm not saying everybody, a lot of people want maybe a moment of sympathy, but honestly, what has only worked for me, I'm only talking about me, is actions work way better than any. Like,
Okay.
I know with me, a gift or somebody taking an action or somebody being there is worth way more than somebody who's like, you'll make it through. It's like, what do you fucking mean I'll make it through? And then you dive into your own head about statistics or something, which can be way worse. So,
oh god, yeah,
dude, statistics
technically, we're highly unlikely to crash this plane.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird one. It's definitely weird. But the idea of like, if you're in a situation you can't get out of, if they talk, that's one thing. So if I'm with somebody and they're sick and they talk, go for it, whatever. Or they ask a question, but I won't be like, well, here's how I got through, because that just doesn't work. It's unless the person shows that that's what they want, it doesn't. It's the same thing I've seen happen from people who divorce. Dude, I'm sorry. Even if I did have a wife who slept with a bunch of people or whatever, it wouldn't help if I was like, yeah, all people do that. Like, dude, it's not helping. It's not helping. No. You just sort of have to be there, get their mind off of it in whatever way they want and move on. But if you try to like sit there and be like, I know where you're coming from. Do you?
Or if someone is angry and you tell them to calm down, like,
no. Chill out. The only time I've ever seen one of my bosses freak out was when one of the guys was like, chill out, That's not the original definition of woke. Nobody cares about original definitions, man. I thought we solidified that with Gooner.
Yeah, true.
It doesn't work. People make up their own. Dude, why can't you be cool and deal with your pain like I do? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, dude, you'll be fine. I mean,
suck it up.
Yeah, that's why whenever anybody asks for what's the term? Advice too. It's like, well, I can give you actionable stuff. That's why a lot of times it won't be the psychological. Like I tell you, I hate one-liners. This too shall pass. Bull fucking shit. Sorry, if I hear somebody say this too shall pass, I'll be like,
everything.
Just leave. Yeah,
time heals everything. No. Sorry, I got cancer.
Time wounds all heals, not heals all wounds. I'm sorry. Sorry, that's not the way it is.
It really does.
It does.
Whatever it is, it will degrade.
It will degrade.
That's just physics.
Shit doesn't magically create a more complex thing.
The teacup won't come back
and glue itself back together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's when you get those weird situations where you do have a friend who's like having a hard time, and man,
some
you have
can
to
be
navigate
useful.
It hard.
Some of those sayings, because they can, they can be like a directional thing for some people. But the problem is they're too general. They will never apply to your specific situation,
I think maybe it's because we're all learning and reading more than any kids did 20 years ago and 40 years ago, that I've found that a lot of times throw in a sideways, like time, wounds all heals. It's a joke, but it actually does. Those kind of things can actually help a little bit more because they don't hit the same exact sort of brain wave that you've always heard. So if you do hear something that's slightly askew, I think my brain, I'm not everybody, but my brain will listen more if it's a slight askew than it is if it's just the same. If somebody says this too shall pass, you just be like, dude, I know somebody like who's been, let's say, had cancer for a slow bone cancer. I knew somebody who had it for basically 14 years. So I was like, by the time he died, it hadn't passed. So what are we going to do that's actionable? So at the very least, we can remove a stress from this person or whatever. It's very hard though, man. One of the hardest things is dealing with somebody who's sick. It fucking sucks. Like, it sucks for everybody involved. But I will tell you one thing: I won't disappear, because I have had friends disappear from me during hard times. Not blaming them at all whatsoever. Or when you're sick, I've had friends who won't hang out with a friend because they're sick, and they're like, "Well, he needs his rest." And I'm like, "You don't understand. He may, but might be better to let him tell you that." Because what he really may need is for you to just hang out and talk like he's a normal fucking person. Maybe that's not his thing, and he does need you to talk about it. But a lot of times, a person just wants to play Assassin's Creed like everybody else.
And sometimes people don't know how to ask for help.
Yeah.
You may think they're pulling away, but actually, they just might not know how to reach out.
Yeah, dude. I don't think I know. We'll be real for a second. I don't think I know, because I think about what I sound like if I did ask for help, and I'm like, then I
don't want to be that guy. Maybe
it's not only that. It's not even that. I don't even know how to describe it, but I know for a fact that there have been times where I'm like, dude, let's use it. Let's be shallow. We'll do it shallow. In a Discord or in a group, I still remember when my friends were like, when I would tell them about something and they would be like, "Oh, I didn't know. I could have." Maybe they weren't saying I could have helped you or whatever, but they're like, "I didn't know you're dealing with anything. I thought you had everything handled." And I'm like, okay, I get it, because I probably sound like that.
Yeah.
But my wife or somebody will be like, "You just said blank. That doesn't sound right." But that's because she's around me a lot, and she has to parse.
They can tell.
Yeah, she has to parse a very weird person who is like very out, very loud.
Yeah.
And she has to be like, his loud is different today. There's some, and even she'll miss it. A wife or a friend will say something. I'll be like, "Fuck, man." And then sometimes they'll pick up on it and be like, I had somebody apologize to me one time, and I was trying to explain to them. I'm like, dude, weirdly enough, the harsher you get, the less I'm affected. Like, at all. What you said in no way, shape, or form bothered me. I just mentioned this because I didn't think that was a kosher thing to talk about at this particular time. What if that was it? But they were really worried. And then other times, if there was something, it might be small to some people, but it's big to you, right? And that can happen. Have you ever had the friend where you're talking to a friend and you throw out a one-liner or a joke? I did it with a mood ski. I said something about somebody who had passed away. I didn't know. It was just like a your mama joke kind of thing. And luckily, he's like, "Well, how the fuck, you didn't know? How the fuck? Like, why? You have no clue. We didn't, blah, blah, blah." But I've done that before, too, where I remember one time we were all razzing. This person was razzing me hard. So I was like, "Okay, are you ready? Because if I go in, I'm going to go in as hard as humanly possible. And you're not going to want to be in the room." And they're like, "Come at me." So it was back and forth. And I said something. I just saw him go. You could tell.
Whoa.
And it was passing. It was passing a law. I didn't know there was a seatbelt law. Like, it was small. And you realize, oh, that's that person's trigger. Like, on accident, you find it with a friend. We've all found that with a friend, I think, where you're joking, or a bad day with a friend.
Yeah.
They're having a bad day and you say something.
They just go quiet. Like,
yeah. or takedown. Just have takedown in the room. You'll find your trigger point. Takedown found silvers in less than like 7 minutes. That would time they were playing the online game. And takedown, I remember he was just, and I was like, it takes a certain person to be cool with that. And I'm cool with it, but it's a lot. And there've been times even I've been like, "Takedown, shut up." And he was like, and I remember everything got quiet and you just hear Silver's voice just, "Do you want to fight this fucking thing?" And it was the first time I've ever heard Silver do that.
Yeah.
And it was because he's takedown.
He's rarely angry like that.
Yeah. I found it one time with Turum too. 'Cause Turum's like, "Well, My face is on fire right now, but I'll
very
probably
dry.
put it out in an hour. And there was one time we were all in there, and I heard. Luckily, that's my job. But I heard term in the chat, and I was like, that's not right. There was just something weird about what was going on. I was like, hey, let's move on, because I could tell it was just one of those things. You have to be cognizant of it. But I hope nobody has to deal with that kind of shit. It always sucks. Always sucks with. Or you can help out your friend. That's pretty much the best you can do. Help out a pal if they're having a hard time.
Yeah, sometimes I'm guilty of like, I just assume people have shit figured out.
Yeah.
So I don't ask, I don't ask like, oh, hey, how's your sleep schedule been? Because I know, for example, you struggled with sleep schedule.
Yeah.
But I'll rarely ask you, and I should more often. Like, hey,
I think you do.
How are you doing this week?
I think you're a pretty conscientious friend, actually. But I do get what you're saying. I'm not negating what you're saying. Because you may not remember.
Because you come across as like you have your shit figured out. So I'm just like, he's good. But the fact is, we don't know what people are going through. You know?
Or it's fine one day, and you happen to be lucky and ask them on a day where it's not fine. Which is good sometimes. I don't mean the opposite where you can trigger somebody. I mean the time where they did need somebody to ask you, because, dude, I have been in a room doing squats to try to get rid of restless leg crying as a 35-year-old man because I couldn't sleep. Because I don't need a lot of sleep. I need that sleep, though. I need the 3 hours. And I was legit, dude. I was in there. Man. My wife just snoring, just dreaming of, and I'm in there doing squats. I have like so many pounds of weight on the squat rack, and I'm just doing as many squats as humanly possible
just
at 3 a.m.
Please,
just
tire yourself out.
These legs, because restless leg, you've had it, right? You've had, or have you not had restless leg? I can't remember if you've ever had it.
No.
So it's like your legs being consistently at a static shock, and they.
Imagine, like a spasm.
And imagine, so you have static shock, and you have to stretch, but you can't stretch. Because no matter how much you stretch, it won't go away. So or like a yawn, when you know you need to yawn or it's almost there, or you need to burp and it's almost there, all of that in just your legs, right below your spine. It never goes above. It's always, and I remember my dad telling me how bad it was. And I was like, I don't know what are you talking about? My dad's like, yeah, restless leg is one of the worst things ever. And I was like, I mean, how could not being able to sleep? I'd just stay up. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. When it turns on, dude, it's ridiculous. It's like, holy shit. That's why it's hard too to know, because that sounds so small. It sounds so small. It's like, oh, okay. A person who doesn't need to sleep has occasional problems sleeping. It's like, you don't understand. I need 45 minutes of sleep. I can't pass that up.
Holy shit.
No, you are pretty conscientious. I will say that. Like Reg, not at all. Love Reg. But Reg, you'd be on fire. And if you didn't,
like,
Reg will help the shit out of you.
Good.
But you got to ask Reg. I found that out. I'm like, okay, super helpful guy, but he is I've got my shit figured out. I'm assuming you've got your shit figured out. And if you're on fire, you know how to put it out. And we're all good. And you have to be like, I am on fire, dude. And I do not have an extinguisher and I need help right now.
Like, hey.
I love it, though, because I also think he's really, at least a few times for me, and this is inside baseball, but he's not going to care. He'd laugh with us. If I do ask him for help. So if I'm like.
You can count on him.
Yeah. I've asked him. I mean, there's times where I'm sure he's like, I wish you wouldn't ask me about, this thing, whatever it may be. But he'll, whatever it may be, it's usually technical, but I'll ask him about something and be like, oh yeah, have you could try this, and he'll give his laugh because I think he likes that you learn on your own. He's definitely like I'm okay with explaining the basics. I don't think he is as much. There's been times where I've asked him a basic thing, and I've been like, that response is not it's a little shorter than what I expected. Like I think he's like, well, you're gonna have to meet me halfway, bitch. Like you're gonna have to go out, and I'll be like, I'm really just querying you for the answer, and I don't think he likes that so much. But yeah, super on the ball. Like anytime, be like Silver, same way. Anytime, if Absy, same way. Go Burns, same way. It does, like I remember talking to Go Burns randomly, and you just say something and be like, "Well, do you need blah blah blah?" And you're like, "Dude, it's sad that it's online friends." I was talking to somebody who is trying to get out of online a little bit, not stop hanging, but they need real friends. And I totally understood where he was coming from, because he was like, online requires signing in, finding the person, having the person be available at that exact time, blah, 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 all this stuff. And if they ever go away, there's no one. He had made the realization, well, maybe not no one, but he had made the realization there were very few people. And boy, have I been there, where I've been like, oh shit, you know, I haven't been taking care of this other thing that I need, you know, because you forget, you you space it, and then you realize later, you're like, oh shit, man, sort of neat. Because you still do your stuff with your mom and dad, right, on the weekends? That's another
every
thing
week
I need to do more. Fuck,
I make a point of hanging out together and stuff. Yeah, it's great.
You got to admit, you got a unicorn family that your mom and dad, who are divorced, can hang out and play board games.
Dude, it's odd as hell. They also live together now. They're not like, let's say,
I know.
They're not they're romantically together, as far as I know.
Right. But they
based on our conversations.
Living together?
But
that's so great.
They live together. They get along great.
Man.
And yeah, and we all, like the three of us, get along great. So yeah, it is crazy.
That is a
weird
fucking unicorn, dude. I'm telling you, that's a unicorn. Now, I don't even mean as a joke. I mean, that is so rare. If it's not, I know yours might be a tiny bit the family culture. I don't know if it is for Brazil, right? Brazilian?
Brazil, yeah.
I know some, cultures, they're a little bit more with like everybody's in the same place, Thai, for instance, stuff like that. But that's crazy. That's awesome, by the way. Like, not just crazy, like crazy. Yeah. That's weird, but that's actually very cool, because I know some people who they feel like they've lost a family when there is a divorce. Because you can't, sometimes it's cool to talk to mom and dad, not mom and not dad.
Yeah.
And so you have this awesome thing where even though they're not together, it's like they're still mom and dad okay and be in the same. I mean, I've had the occasional family who are okay, but they're not living in the same place.
Yeah, that is quite odd.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That is awesome. Well, Bep says weird people, but congrats.
Yeah, congrats. Yeah. Hey, it's working out.
Yeah, it's working out well, because he gets to also play board games, which weirdly enough, even with my friends who like D&D and stuff, it's hard to get everybody together and do that physical.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of work friends that we play board games as well. Sometimes physically and sometimes just on tabletop. We played Eclipse. I don't know if you know that one.
Not Eclipse.
Later, I'll tell you the full name.
But Eclipse. Okay, gotcha.
It has a longer name than that, but like spaceships and stuff. Really cool game. Yeah. I was actually going to bring it up to see if you were interested in checking it out and maybe playing it sometime.
So I know we're going long here, so we can sort of wrap it up. But that was actually the one thing I was going to describe, is that all my life I've set up everything. Everything.
Okay. Yeah.
And so
you're the host, you're the DM.
I still am, but I'm busier, and no one in my life has made the switch except for my wife. No one has realized that shit's changed, and I'll go 6 years without setting anything up, because my brain is in certain things. I have a bunch of stuff to do. And so yes, if you set it up, absolutely.
Okay.
And sometimes I won't be able to make it, but my friends will be like, oh, he didn't make it one time, so therefore that's Jeremy's pattern of he just doesn't want to do it. And I'm like, no, I do. I just legitimately can't always do those stuff. And I'm like, well, why don't you guys do it so that you get the plan to get, so that it works. It works. You're going to show up, so we don't have another get together that doesn't work out. And then I'm definitely going to go. But yeah, I would if you set it up. And because then I can, I had a friend just yesterday who was like, hey, do you want to do something the day after tomorrow? I'm like, come on, man. Like, there's so much stuff. You got to give me a little bit more. And then I feel bad for refusing, because I'm like, I'm not refusing to do it. I'm literally telling you, I've already told people I would do something, or I've already got plans. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Any you're talking about tabletop simulator?
Tabletop sim.
Yeah. That thing's fucking the greatest thing in the world, dude. Tabletop sim is awesome. It's awesome. My parents and their friends used to play D&D. They just didn't know it. Hero Quest. Oh, wow. Oh, dude, Hero Quest is the greatest.
Hero Quest is good.
Hero Quest is
you put me on that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're at 4 hours, which once again, 30 minutes longer than the Call of Duty campaign, but we'll get out of here. What do you
I did want to say something real quick, by the way. I've been making music again, and I got a new track coming out. I hope it's okay for me to post a link here.
SoundCloud?
It's so it's not out yet, but in this link you'll be able to follow it. It's gonna be on like all platforms.
Very cool.
Apple, YouTube, Spotify, and stuff. And I'm really happy with this track. And it's a new album idea where each track is gonna be inspired after one of the people who hang out usually in my streams and stuff.
Oh, very cool.
So there's like a little bit of them in there. It's called, the album is going to be called Core Memory, which is kind of the idea that like we're having these core memories together, hanging out and stuff. So the first one is called Eliminator, one of the guys who hangs out there with us. And I'm really happy with this track. So
very cool.
Just putting it out here. It's just like instrumental kind of rock bluesy stuff.
Dude, one of these days, without telling anybody, you need to belt it out, full vocals. And it's just like disturbed.
You know, I did a vocal album. I had a crack.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I had a crack. Yeah, it's hard, man. Vocals are very hard.
Yeah, very hard. So that'll be, he'll post that in chat. And then what are you streaming tomorrow?
Okay, so tomorrow we're doing some League of Legends plus Neo 3. I'm in the very end of like the first general area in Neo 3 and hopefully get into the second one.
Sweet. And from me, you should see some reviews next week, and stay tuned on if we do the other big plan. That will be it for us. Thank you, everybody, for sticking around for so long. Hope you have a good weekend. I think we went an hour longer than that guy's cardio, so he's either dead.
Dude, we've been going. Listening.
Yeah.
Oh, that guy's dead. Yeah, if he's still running.
Especially if he planned on 3 good solid hours and wasn't planning on a full other hour. Right now, he's on the side of the street somewhere, and they're using a street cleaner and just sweeping him up. Yeah. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one.
See ya.